Hey guys, Floppy Disk Repairman here. Just a quick disclaimer, compilations aren't something I usually do on this channel. I think a lot of people do it much better than me, so I'm going to leave that to them. This is a project I've been kind of wanting to do for a long time in my free time. This first one is kind of a proof of concept. It is the first 5 episodes of the Anima podcast hosted by Gustavo Sorolla, Geoff Ramsey, and Eric Bador. And it is just the stories. Everything else is cut out of it. And I've tried to throw in some little pictures or videos where it feels appropriate. So if you like this kind of thing, if you want more, if you have a different idea, if you want more pictures, just let me know. I really tried to cut this down a lot as to not waste your time. So I hope you enjoy it. Oh, and one more thing. I did message Gus about this project to let him know I was doing it and to basically offer to give it to them for free. So if they ever want it at any point in the future or any future edit downs of just the stories, obviously they can always have it. Okay, let's do it.
One of our early ideas before we started the company Rooster Teeth was we wanted to create something called the Drunk Army. Do you remember this?
Yes.
We wanted to go get a drink in every bar in Austin and then review them.
We bought a website for it.
We bought a website for it.
Do I still pay for that?
You might.
If you do, we need to use it for this show.
Yeah.
Well, no, because it doesn't apply anymore.
Well, it really doesn't apply anymore because at some point I became a crippling alcoholic and then got sober. So I haven't had a drink in almost 5 years next month. So I had to pivot away from that. There was also a period in time we wanted to do the same thing, but with hamburgers. Like we used to get into a lot of fights about who had the best burger in Austin.
Hilbert's.
And so, really?
Yeah.
I like Hilbert's. I don't think it's the best.
Great.
Well, all right. So,
You don't have a place.
I mean, I haven't sat down to think about it right
Me
now.
neither. Off the top of my head, I know.
Off the top of my head, Top Notch is better.
Whoa. Bold.
Okay. All right. Fine. Mighty Fine's pretty good. I
Mine
haven't been there in years,
finds
but
excellent.
anyway, that's a different podcast.
Top Notch is funny because they lost their secret sauce recipe for a while.
Did you ever hear this story, Eric?
No, I've never heard that.
Yeah, this is great. So it's sad.
Yeah.
They had their mixture of Thousand Island and ketchup or whatever.
the correct
their
ratio.
special sauce. And the guy who created Top Notch, or I guess the owner, I assume he created it.
Yeah.
He unfortunately died. It was very sad. And his safe was locked, and in the safe was this
the
recipe for the special sauce.
No way.
And I want to say I remember reading about this in the Chronicle. I think it took them like 3 weeks to get that safe open.
Nobody knew the combination. Nobody knew how to get it out. They couldn't open his safe to get the recipe. It was a big crisis for a while.
They didn't have access to the sauce for a while.
They could be lying to us. Maybe they never got access, and they were like, "Oh shit, we got to recreate it."
It was a great story to drum up support because it definitely put them on the map again at the time. So the idea being to pivot sort of those old and then combine it with going out into the world again. As COVID is waning, obviously it still exists. It'll exist for the entirety of our future, probably
Endemic.
in some capacity. Endemic, yes. In addition, I have learned, Gus, you and I have been what I would consider to be best friends for over 20 years now.
Yeah, long time.
I don't ever speak to you anymore. We don't ever talk. We never communicate. And I realized I am only, at this point in my life, at 46, I'm only able to maintain personal relationships through podcasting.
Okay.
Like, my other best friend is Gavin. We have a podcast together. It is the only time we communicate throughout the week. Then I have our other very close friend of ours, Jack. I have a podcast with him. It is the only time I communicate with Jack.
So you got to make podcasts.
So if I want to maintain a relationship with you, it has to be through a microphone.
That is the most modern day problem I've ever heard.
Yeah, for real. I've turned into a hermit. I've turned into what you always described to me.
If Seinfeld was on the air right now, that would be like Kramer's thing.
Yeah.
He would only talk. No, actually more of a George thing. George could only talk to people if they showed up to be a guest on his podcast.
Yeah, George is more of an opportunist that way. So there are all the premises that I lay out before you for the reason that this podcast should exist. Oh, also, one other one, thinking about this a lot. Gus, you and I share a similar love for the city of Austin.
Yes.
We both came here. I was 18. How old were you when you came here?
What year was I? I was 19. 19, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we both spent the better part of our teen years here. I mean, for the first couple of years, I was stationed at Fort Hood, but I spent every second I could here. I was thinking about it last night. It happened kind of so quickly and so slowly at the same time that I turned around and Austin is a completely different place.
Totally different.
Can't
drink the water anymore.
No shit. Well, as of today, we can. We witnessed the radical change of Austin, the radical growth where it went from being this cool indie art town. They called it the Velvet Ditch because anybody, you could fall into it and it was too comfortable to climb out of.
Yeah, it was like cheap to live at. You just get like a
$350
part-time job,
$350
right?
a month.
Get a roommate.
Yeah, it was the cheapest place on earth.
And now it's
there was no crime.
One of the most
and it was
expensive places.
Yeah. And I'm dealing with the fact, I've been coming to terms with the fact that I'm going to have to leave Austin someday because I won't be able to retire here. I don't think it's a city. It's like LA. It's not a city you can retire to.
You need to leave to make room for other people to move here.
It's true.
That's what it really breaks down to. I was
It is
looking
true.
into it a couple months ago, and I was pissed off that I was having to sit in traffic. And I was trying to, in my mind, wrap my head around how much worse traffic has gotten since when we moved here in the late 90s. And I looked it up, and the population of Austin proper has doubled between the year 2000 and the year 2020.
That's crazy.
And the infrastructure has not.
No, I'll tell you, dude. Back in the old days, you and I would drink at a place called Bull McCabe's or a place called Ocean's 11 a little bit later, or we would go to Emo's, right?
It was, yeah, all that stuff's on Red River
Yeah, all
between
that
like
stuff's on-
6th and 7th or 8th.
And then the Emo's moved to Riverside. It's the old back room. Austin on a Friday night, we could go to Ocean's 11 at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night and park in front of Ocean's 11.
Yeah. Or casino, right on
Or
6th.
casino.
Yeah.
That's how much Austin's changed. Like, you would park at the bar you were going to.
Well, I guess you wouldn't park in front of casino on Friday
And if
because
it
the road was closed.
if for any reason it was busy, you would park at the Texas State Teachers Association.
Yeah.
That was always
was
available.
it the teachers or was it the principal? No, you're right. It's the teachers association. Yeah.
And then if any reason that was available, you would go eat dinner at Jaime's Spanish Village, and then they would let you park there all night.
Yeah.
And that was how you got around traffic in Austin back then.
I think that teachers organization is still there, but I think they put like a bar, so
Yeah.
you can't park back there anymore.
Yeah, that's been closed off for years.
And Jaime Spanish Village is long gone.
It's been a couple different bars.
You can
since
buy
then.
their salsa though.
I don't know why you would.
Yeah,
It's a terrible restaurant.
I've seen it in the stores. The only reason it existed was for their parking lot.
Yeah, you get that red parking pass. That was the only reason to go there. So anyway, Austin changed so much, and we were a part of that change, and we spent our 20s and our 30s here watching it.
Yeah.
But we were so busy with work and had our heads down with our company. I think a lot of it like just passed us by.
Yeah.
And we missed it. So I kind of want to do this podcast also just to kind of share our experiences going through. We were in Austin in a very special place in history and in
Yeah.
time, you know? Must have been like what it was like to be in LA in the 60s and the 70s and to get to watch the explosion and watch it turn into go from the old city it was into the new city it became. Do you remember the first time you went to the Alamo
First
Draft
time
House?
I went to the draft house. No, I don't.
I do. I have a very specific memory because I came here in 94, but then I got stations elsewhere, and so I had to move away. So I moved back. I got out of the Army, and I moved here full-time in 98. And my first wife and I at the time, I hadn't been here. I'd never been to the Alamo in those first 2 years. So in
was it open?
December 98, we moved into Austin. The first weekend we were here, I was looking in the Chronicle for something to do. There was a midnight showing of Gremlins, and I thought, where am I that shows Gremlins at midnight in 1999 or 1998, right? So we gotta go. And so I had never heard of the Alamo before that. We went there. There was nobody at the downstairs. Walked up the stairs, and then I was also I was in my early 20s in the 90s. So I was, if you were into film, you were an Ain't It Cool News reader, and so
Based out of Austin as well?
yeah, based out of Austin as well, right? So I walked up the stairs and immediately bumped into Harry Knowles, who was there, who was the closest thing I'd ever seen to a celebrity at that point in my life, probably, next to my Charles Barkley experience. And so he was talking to like a ticket lady, and I stood there for a minute, and they were just having this whole conversation. And then I thought, like, I guess, I don't know. I just walked around him. My wife and I walked around him and went and sat down and saw Gremlins for free. And that entire time I was there, I had no idea it cost money to go to the I thought they made their money off the bar
food
tab
sale,
and the food. And I thought, oh, they just show a movie for free at midnight and then people buy food and drinks.
You just walk
And it wasn't until the next time I went to the Alamo and I tried to get in without paying. And they were like, whoa, asshole, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I was very wrong about it.
Can I pay you for another ticket? I already saw a movie.
I felt so bad. December 1998, I believe. My first time there.
Yeah, I can't remember the first time. I've seen many movies. I went to college for a year, and one of the people who lived next to me was the sister-in-law of Tim.
Tim League.
Tim League.
Tim and Carrie League, the creators of
I
the
would say
Alamo
he
Draft
was
House.
she was Carrie League's sister.
Okay.
Like lived next door to me in college, and she would tell me like, yeah, my sister and brother-in-law are opening up a movie theater in Austin. It's going to be called the Draft House. They're going to do all this stuff. So it's like, that's how I found out about it. I was living in Houston at the time. And then I was like, oh, when I moved to Austin, I was like, oh yeah, my old neighbor, this is like her sister and her brother-in-law's place. Like, I'm going to go watch a movie there. Like it hadn't been built up for me. It was just like, oh, my friend's in-laws and sibling opened up this place. Like, I'm gonna go check it out.
Now it's a nationwide chain and a part of what I would call the the emerging culturification of America through Austin. I don't know.
Do you remember that place? We used to have an office in Buda a long time ago.
Big Oak, Philly.
Yeah, Big Oak, Philly. That place was excellent, but that's not the place I was thinking about. I was thinking about Garcia's.
Oh, Norteñas.
Get Norteñas, but I was thinking about you could get a chicken fried steak covered in queso instead of gravy.
Whoa.
It's like, it was just like mind blowing.
I would say that Garcia's and Big Oak, Philly, which was a barbecue shop, sandwich shop, Eric, that started in a hardware store.
It was a hardware store. Then they opened up a Home Depot in Buda. And the day the Home Depot opened, the hardware store became a barbecue restaurant.
Wow, really?
And it was, I kid you not, the best sandwich I've ever had in my life to this day. I would say that those two restaurants are responsible for at least 100 pounds of Rooster Teeth.
At Big Oak, Philly, they would make a Philly cheesesteak, but instead of using normal like ribeye or whatever, they would use barbecue brisket.
Oh, shit.
And you would cover it with queso and like a barbecue sauce.
Oh, holy shit.
It was so good.
Is there anywhere that does that now?
No.
Oh, my God.
That place closed 15 years ago now.
We ran into somebody after it closed because it was weird because it was these like stereotypical Texas dudes, like big old country-fed Texas dudes who just genial, lovely guys who you would expect to run a hardware store and then who you would expect to probably spend a lot of time barbecuing. And I remember we were having a conversation one day and the guy was like, so what are y'all doing down here? We see you every day, you don't look like Buda, and we're like, oh, we run a video game store or this video game company where we make cartoons and shit. And he was like, oh yeah, I used to be a professional Counter-Strike player.
Yeah,
like,
I forgot about that.
What? And he was like, yeah, I did it professionally for like 5 years. And man, the world got really small that day.
Wow,
But,
esports is awesome.
Yeah, and this was probably 2003?
No, it would have been 2005.
2005.
Yeah.
Wow. And anyway, ran into that dude a few years later in Austin, I remember.
Oh, really?
And he mentioned, you were there. He mentioned...
I'm like engaging for podcast sake.
Okay. I remember we tried...
That's how it works.
We tried to get him to either give us the recipe or open up another barbecue store so we could get the sandwich again, but he wasn't having it.
Yeah. I love that unexpected fusion, but I also love that spirit of, well, we can't compete with this business like this Home Depot that just opened up, so we're just gonna pivot entirely, make a whole new business.
And
overnight.
they had a way bigger hit on their hands in that sandwich. Big
And
barbecue.
for people who aren't familiar with the area, Buda is like a suburb a little south of Austin. Like if we were to get in a car from here and drive down there, it'd probably take like 20, 25 minutes to get there right now.
Yeah.
It's like halfway to San Marcos.
Yeah, and it's tiny, especially back then. Not very many people living in that town. So they're like the market was really small.
Yeah. They built a Cabela's there and that changed everything. And I would wager they were probably, at this point, there's probably more people working at Cabela's than lived in Buda when they opened Cabela's.
Yeah.
There was also a restaurant called Two Mamas. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. It was like they would serve one meal, like one dish. Like you walked in on Monday was meatloaf.
Yep.
You walk in on Tuesday, the Tuesday was casserole or whatever. It's like every day of the week, it was just one thing. And if you wanted that, that's what they had.
Yeah. It was like two sisters that ran it. They were both moms, so they called it Two Mamas. And and it was just like home cooking. And we ate there all the time as well. Their meatloaf was, I'm not a huge meatloaf fan, but it was good. It was good.
That's the only one I remember. That's why I said it. It was Mondays, I needed to get meatloaf.
They had like a stew or something that we ate a lot, I remember. Yeah, like a beef stew, or I can't remember what it was now, but
It's been so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all right there, like on Main Street. So it's like we lived in,
On
we
Railroad
didn't live.
Street.
We worked in the only apartment complex in Buda, which had 12 units.
Yes.
It was 2 buildings, 6 units in each building. That was it. There was the only apartments in Buda, and we would walk across the train tracks to Main Street, and that's where like all of these businesses we mentioned, they're all right next to each other. It's like Big Oak Philly was on the left, Garcia's was just to the right of that, and then just to the right of that was Two Mamas.
Wow.
I'll tell you a funny story about Eric that I bet you've never heard about our time there. We've got a billion. That's another thing too. As I get older, I realize I'm becoming far more sentimental and nostalgic than I anticipated, and I think I'm the only one. Like I've tried to do this with Bernie and Matt, the other guys that founded the company, and they have no interest. Like nobody wants to reminisce with me, except for Gus puts up with it.
I'll
so
reminisce. I like a
it.
little reminiscing.
I did not know I'd be so sentimental. So we worked. It was a 6-unit apartment complex. Downstairs, 3 downstairs, 3 upstairs, right on the railroad tracks, which was awesome when we were recording audio 10 hours.
There were not trains constantly going by.
Yeah, only every hour or so. Below us was a coffee shop. I don't remember what it was called, but it had the most burnt coffee I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, it was
still went
burned
there
as
every
hell.
fucking day.
What was it called? Oh.
It was so long ago. I remember the name of the dude that ran us out of town, but I don't remember the name of the coffee shop we went to every day.
Him and his damn triangle.
Him and his damn triangle.
That's
It's a
It's the whole
success triangle, dude.
Oh, man.
He was trying to help us become a successful business. So we were like, all right, we're going to go back to Austin. Thanks. Anyway, so this was in the early days of Rooster Teeth when we'd started in Bernie's spare bedroom, which was also in Buda. Then we rented the 800 square foot apartment, which was huge compared to Bernie's spare bedroom.
One bedroom.
His wife was like, get the fuck out of this house. And so we did. And we were like, we thought we were big shit at the time. So the apartment right next to us was empty. And then the apartment to the right was this like 25-year-old blonde girl. Just a nice girl. We didn't really talk to her much, but we'd say
I think
hi.
I saw her once the
Yeah,
entire time we were
every
down
once in a while you'd see her, say hi to her. But this was in the early days when we were kind of taken off and we were in vogue, as it were. We were like a new oddity in the entertainment world. And so we were getting a lot of press, New York Times, Wall Street Journal. People would come and interview us.
Fucking Wall Street Journal.
For fucking Wall Street Journal. Don't even get me started on that one.
Goddamn.
The goddamn writer of the Wall Street Journal article, who was really fucking nice, and I really liked the dude, and he was a really good listener, and we took him to Salt Lick, and we had a great day with him.
He hung out with us for like 3 days or something.
Days, and I felt like a connection with him, right? This fucking guy. Sorry, this is an aside. And then when the article comes out a month later, and there's all these sentences, this exposition where he's like, Ramsey stands on the balcony of the office and takes a slow drag of his cigarette. I never smoked a cigarette in my life.
At least you were in the article.
Yeah. And also Gus was completely...
I picked him up at the airport.
Gus was
I drove the guy down to Buda. I'm not even mentioned in the article.
Completely omitted from the article.
There were only 4 of us.
His family thought he was lying about being in Rooster Teeth when it came out.
It's not like there was a huge cavalcade of characters.
Jason was in it more than you.
Good grief.
So at one point, MTV came to do a story on us. They came to do a couple stories on us. But Sway was still working at MTV at the time. You remember Sway, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so Sway shows up, and he's a fucking cool,
Super
cool dude. He was at the tail end of his time at MTV. He was aging out. He did not give a fuck. He was just along for the ride, right? So he was just like, talking about how fucking country it was and like making fun of it. It was fucking awesome. But he went downstairs to get a coffee. He came back up and he got confused. And he didn't go in our apartment. He walked into the blonde girl's apartment, and she was like getting out of the shower, and she opens it.
She was fully clothed.
She was fully clothed, but I remember she had like a towel on her head or something.
Yeah.
And she opened the door, and this just like black dude with dreads walked in, and she screamed, and he screamed, and he was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." It was fine. It was
What I remember him saying was that she looked at him. The reason I bring up that she was fully clothed is because he said she looked at him, screamed, and then still covered her breasts and her groin.
Yeah.
And he was like, she had all her clothes on. Why was she covering?
And it turned out to be very funny. The cops weren't called. It wasn't a big deal. But he was fucking shook after that. He was like, "This is not the town. I need to be walking into the wrong fucking apartment complex and scaring people in."
Oh, my God. That's crazy.
Oh God, that was a cool guy.
Yeah.
Man.
So we had a lot of visitors down there at that apartment. It's interesting because we've had, for the production company for Rooster Teeth, we've had a very long running podcast that we've been running for
10 years?
Oh, God, no, fuck you. We've been running it for like 13 or 14 years now at this point. But when we started that podcast, we were already in the Congress office.
Yes.
So like a lot of this stuff, like all the Buda stories predated it. And we may have talked about it, but it's not something I think we ever really dug into because there was so much other stuff to talk about at the time.
It's also, I've realized we're at a point where I throughout the last decade plus of podcasting, and also all the other kind of videos we do that are just conversational, where you share stories. I've tried really hard not to repeat stories, and because I know, one of the guys we work with, who used to work with, Bernie, who has since retired, he used to get hit all the time for just telling the same stories on the podcast over and over again. So I'm always hyper conscious of that. But we're so long in the tooth that it doesn't matter. Nobody listening to us today was listening to us 5 years ago.
Yeah. Plus, also we had so many people who we even worked with internally at the company who would get mad at us for retelling stories. So it really trained us to try to not do that. But we churn through audience. And after a 13-year podcast, the same people who are listening now are not the people who were listening at the beginning. They don't know those stories. No one's going to go back and listen to 5,000 hours of however fucking long it is. It's like 650 episodes now.
Yeah.
And like 2 hours, so no one's going to listen to like 1,500 hours of podcast to get caught up on every single story.
And if they do, they're not going to remember 80% of it.
No,
So it doesn't
I don't remember it.
Yeah. So I'm allowing myself carte blanche to tell any story throughout the history of our relationship. When did we meet? That's a great question.
Probably at a PAX.
Yeah,
I would think
2004
either a
or 5?
PAX or a Comic-Con.
It wouldn't have been 4.
It would have been. It probably would have been 2000. God, probably 2005, something like that. And then it was like, but that's where I came from, Mega 64, and that was just us being booth neighbors one time, and then going, we should do this every time.
Yeah.
To Bernie, who since retired, to his detriment, I was there at every convention that he was at.
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people know that, but we became such fast friends with the Mega 64 guys because at our very first Comic-Con, we just happened to be next to you guys in a booth. It wasn't our second.
We were next
it was
to
our
the
second
Comic-Con.
Comic-Con.
The first Comic-Con, we were in the back by that comic book, Rainbow Comic Books? Was that what it was called?
Yeah.
Like a comic book publisher.
Yeah. And so the second time, and we became such fast friends that it became a part of every convention we went to.
Yeah.
We have to be next to Mega 64.
Yep.
And you guys became our first real internet friends.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And we just had the best time for years and years and years. I remember, I have a very specific memory of you, Eric, when I realized I wanted to work with you. This wasn't that long ago. We were, well, it was before you started working here.
Oh, okay.
It was during E3 in LA, and we did, our sales team did a meet and greet for members of the podcast network.
Oh, that was like
and it was like
2017?
us, like H3H. There's a bunch of people in the industry were there. You were there.
Was it the ping pong place?
Yeah.
I do remember that. Yeah.
And and I'd known you for 10 years at that point or something. We were friendly, friendish. We'd always hang out in whatever town we cohabitated in at the time. But you were at a table with Gus and 2 other people, and I was talking to Lewis and kind of making the rounds. And you were holding court. And you were telling these fucking Mario jokes. I don't remember what they are.
It was because Mario's got a gun. It's because of Mario Rabbids.
Mario Rabbids gun thing.
And I was standing next to, and I pointed at Lewis and I said, just watch what's going on here. And Gus was guffawing. And I don't even remember who the other people were, but you were just like, you were doing a podcast by yourself. And I turned to Lewis and I said, we have got to hire him to work here.
When we did Last Laugh Season 2, which is a Rooster Teeth production, one of the social promotion clips, they sat me down to do an interview and they asked, can you remember the time you laughed hardest in your life? And that's the memory I told
really?
them. That's the story
awesome.
I told them. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's
like when
great.
Eric was making jokes about Mario having a gun when Mario Rabbids was announced. Like, Mario's going to kill you.
Mario bitch.
That's so funny because I wasn't even a part of the conversation, but watching it from afar, it left such an indelible imprint on me. I thought, like, Eric has to work for Rooster Teeth in some capacity, and I'm so glad that you ended up.
I'm glad it worked out.
Now I won't make a podcast without you, except for one.
We had to hire him in secret. Did you know that?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Why?
Patrick Salazar and I had to work under the table to keep the process out of Bernie's sight.
Yep.
Oh.
So we had to work to get him
Was
to
he an
interview.
impediment? Was Bernie an impediment to you? Does he hate you?
Hate it.
So we had to
Hated me.
try to figure out how to interview and get all the paperwork and everything done without. And Bernie had his hands he wasn't the CEO or anything, but he was just very
Tentacles.
aware of everything happening in the company. He knew everything, so we had to very quietly get everything started. And Bernie didn't find out until Eric's first day when
on
he's in the
podcast.
studio.
On the podcast that you guys were on, and that was my introduction. And he saw me and went, "What are you doing here?" And
He's like, I'm the producer for this.
and I went, "I work here," and he went, "What?" And that's when he found out. It's no secret, he hated me, and it was from all the conventions and everything, because it's just all constant. It's
We were all on all the
time. But for me, I think it was just that thing where I'm in that sweet spot where I just fucking needled him.
Yeah.
And I think he hated me until after I got hired. I produced E3 that year.
Yes.
And ran it like clockwork, and he was like, "Oh, he's not some dipshit."
He can actually do stuff.
I will say, Bernie is a complicated man, wonderful dude, who we've spent 20-something years working together and building this company with, and obviously a creative genius. But if you get on his bad side, it's a lifelong offense. It's hard to win him back.
Yep.
He is a harsh judger.
We've been on that many times. We've
dude.
been on the shit list, off the shit list.
Do you think I'll say you and I as a team.
Okay.
Whenever I got yelled at, you got yelled
Yes.
at. And whenever you got yelled at, we were like a package deal.
Yeah.
Do you think you and I have been yelled at by Bernie more than anyone else in his life? Do you think there's any ex-wives, kids, college friends, anyone else in his 40, I'm 46, he's got to be 48, right?
Somewhere in there.
In his 48 years, come close to as much as he's yelled at you and I.
Well, I can't imagine. No.
Yeah.
I mean, we've known him way longer than probably just about anybody else. And we've spent, not only that, we spent more time in a room with him, and it's just a side effect of being there.
Yeah, I mean, those, we always talk about it, and it you talk about it so much, it sounds like this thing that's not real. It's not a tangible thing, but we really were working 11 to 14 hours a day, every day, 6 or 7 days a week for the first 8 years.
We bought a couch to put in the production room so that if 3 of us were in the room, 2 people could work and 1 person could take a nap. And then the person who took a nap could come up and work, and then one of the people working could go and take a nap. Like, we could all trade out taking a nap because there wasn't enough time to go home and sleep. So it's like we bought a nap couch. That way we could work as much as possible.
I remember we were making one of our DVDs. That was crunch time for us because we would pack the DVDs. It'd be we'd make a DVD that would comprise a season of the cartoon we were making, Red versus Blue, which was usually 18 to 20 episodes, probably clocking in about 2 hours feature length. And then we would try to put at least that much bonus content in. Like, if we had a 2-hour season, we wanted 2 hours of bonus content and Easter eggs, and that was
on top of like a commentary and all that other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was a ridiculous amount of work. We put way too much work into those DVDs. I remember having a conversation with Matt one time. He was wrapped in a towel sitting on the couch, and he looked at me and he was just out of it. And he goes, "I don't think I've been home in 9 days."
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I go,
my God.
Are you serious? And he was like, "I don't know. What's today?" And we sat down and figured it out. And he hadn't been home. He had kids. He hadn't been home in 9 days.
It's impossible to overstate the amount of work that went in on those early days. And, it was early internet time. It seems like it's early internet time. To us, I felt like it wasn't. We were all on internet really early. But learning so much, like not being able to like Google stuff or figure it out because no one had really done it. It's like the only people doing that were like big mega corporations.
Everything was a hack. We did.
Yeah. And I mean, we learned so much. Like, to this day, I hate DVD players. I hate DVD players with a passion because we learned every DVD player has different logic for how it handles a disc. So it's like you had to test. We would burn a test DVD like Geoff was talking about, and we'd have to test it on as many different DVD players as we could and find a bug like, oh, this one particular DVD player doesn't like this. We need to reauthor the entire thing. And then you'd be like, okay, this is decent. Send it out. And like, oh, this one brand of a cheap DVD player hates this DVD and will not play it. We need to make a new version and exchange anybody who has this problem, and swap out their DVD.
And then you talk about learning to hate your own content too. We would have to test if that DVD had 4 hours of content. We would have to test 4 hours of content every burn. And so by the time, and it wasn't bad enough that we had to make the fucking cartoon too, and we'd seen it 100 times before it came out on a Friday or a Monday. But then we had to watch. We would watch those episodes thousands of times. I fucking hated that thing that we all made that I loved.
So I'm going to circle back now that you say that. One of the proudest moments I have, speaking of things that we hate, I'll bring it around to pride. One of the proudest moments I have actually is when we had our first screening of that project at the Draft House.
Yes.
At the original location.
I'm glad you got there.
Which is now gone down on Colorado Street. And we had different versions of season 1. So, we had the actual version as it released, the movie version, and then for like festivals or screenings, we had like a 60-minute cut that like cut a bunch of stuff out just to try to like compact it in. It's irrelevant. I don't know why I bring that up. But that was really cool to go from like being a fan and going to the Draft House to watch things that I loved, like Gremlins at midnight. I go to like Night of the Living Dead screenings. Like, it was never a new release movie. It was like something iconic, something that you love for whatever reason, to then be on the other side of it, to like be standing in front of the crowd at the at the screen, and people not yelling at you to sit down. Actually
talk about trial by fire, by the way. Too.
Yeah, they actually bought a ticket to see you. It was like, that was in my mind. I was like, we are never going to top this. Like, this is the absolute coolest. I will never forget this.
And then we did, and I'll tell you how. Keeping it with the Alamo. So we did that first showing, and Tim came to us afterward and said, that went so well, we sold it out. He had us do another 14 days. We did 15 days in a row. 15 days in a row across the 2 Alamos at the time, Village and downtown, and we sold out every one.
Oh
and
my
I
God.
want to say, and maybe I'm wrong here, but we might have done 2 shows a night. I don't remember.
We had to
'cause
split,
our
group. Some people would have to go to the Village. Some people would go to the original.
So we sold out, I think, 30 shows in 15 days, which was phenomenal. And then every year when a new season would come out, we would probably do like one showing, like a theatrical showing. But when the original Alamo closed, which was a big deal to everybody. I mean, at this point, they had Alamo South Lamar, they had Lakeline, they had Village, they had Ritz.
Draft House is out of Austin at that
I think,
point.
yeah, they were out of Austin as well. When they finally closed down the fourth in Colorado, Alamo, Tim came to us and he asked us to be a part of the final week of programming.
Oh, wow.
So we came back and did one final show at the original Alamo, and Tim may have said that. I will never forget this to the day I die. Tim, he may have said this to every single performer who got up that week and did a showing with them. I have no idea. I know that Quentin Tarantino was a part of that. I know there were a lot of more famous people than us.
Way more famous.
But way more famous than us. But Tim stood there in front of that crowd, and he told us that we were his favorite guests in the history of the Alamo.
Wow.
And that meant so fucking much to me. Like that touched me, even if it was lip service, even if he only meant it in the moment, or even if it was just a nice thing he said, that meant so fucking much to me as someone who fell in love with Austin in I moved here, well, I joined the Army, but the whole reason I got into Texas was because at 16, I saw Slacker in Alabama, and I thought, I want to live there. I want to live where people talk like that. And so it had been my goal since 16 to live in Austin, and to have someone who I respected so much, who was, I thought, emblematic of the entrepreneurial nature of this city and making it such a special place, to give us such high praise was like, I could have retired that moment. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah, man, what a sad day that closed, and now it's torn down and totally gone.
Now it's torn down.
Yeah,
and I didn't even know it. Jason hadn't told us. I would have had no idea.
Not that it was like a phenomenal theater.
It was a fucking dump.
It was a dump, but it was like the care that went into it and the programming, and like, I mean, I saw the Jerk there, and they served everyone pizza in a cup.
I went to that show with you. Yeah.
Like, it was just like all kinds of like cool old stuff. That I felt like a lot of stuff that was special to me and maybe our generation, like movies that influenced us and our sensibilities to this day.
Do you remember before YouTube, when you wanted to watch people get hit in the nuts with footballs or like monkeys pissing their own mouths or whatever, you would have to go to the Alamo, and they would have these there was this local access show called The Show with No Name, and it was the internet before it was internet video sharing before it became a thing. And so this guy Charlie would program like 2 hours of like just dudes falling off ladders and shit, and we would go watch it on a Friday night at the Alamo, and that was how you scratched that itch.
Man.
Yeah. Tim used to go to Japan and sit in a hotel room and record everything on TV for like a week, and then he would come back and he would program like an hour and a half of weird Japanese TV, and you would go watch it
because you couldn't get it.
Yeah, because you couldn't get it.
There was no other way to do that.
Man, they just did the coolest stuff back then. I guess they probably still do. I just, Do you still have acid sweat?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen what Gus does to a laptop?
No, you have acid sweat?
It doesn't happen so much anymore with these new MacBook Pros, but back in the day, like
metals.
in 2008, 2009, I used to play a lot of World of Warcraft on my Mac laptop. And I would play so much that the sweat from my palms would eat through the metal on the palm rest of the laptop.
Dude, he's not kidding.
Like, there would be pock marks all in the metal from the sweat in my hands eating through the metal on the laptop. And like, I got to the point where it would get so pocked with holes that I'd have to buy like a palm rest sticker cover to put over it because there were so many holes in my laptop.
He is not exaggerating. Gus is the weakest mutant in the Marvel universe.
Yep.
He's minor acid hands.
You know in Shawshank how he's got the little rock hammer and he like hammers out the wall? I would just be holding the bars every night for 8 hours a night, slowly dissolving my way out.
Oh my God.
Morgan, instead of asking Morgan Freeman for the hammer, I'd be asking for coffee. Just give me black coffee. I'll never forget, after you went and you changed your name, you're like, you told me, you changed your name to Jeffrey Ramsey, and that since you were changing your name, they allowed you to change your middle name
to whatever.
For what? Like, it was no additional cost. You could
it was like
$170
$170 either way.
And you were so happy you changed it to Laser, and I was like, I looked at it. You gave me the piece of paper. I was like, that's not how you spell laser, right?
So here's the real story.
Oh, cool.
I don't know that I've ever told the real story about how I changed my name to Laser. All of that is correct. I told people I picked Laser and I picked it with a Z because I wanted to be an American Gladiator, and I was like channeling that. I just spelled it wrong. I didn't know Laser was spelled with an S.
Yeah, I knew that part because I was there when I'm the one who told you.
Yeah, but nobody else. You're the only person that knew the real truth. Yeah, the Z was I'm just a fucking idiot.
Oh God.
When I had to appear in front of a judge, Eric.
So the process for changing your name it seems like it's a real hassle because it's not just like, well, I've changed one document. It seems like you have to change everything afterwards.
It was about 5 years of nightmare after I did it.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, see, I was adopted a couple times, and my mom remarried a bunch. And so the guy who I consider my father, his last name was Ramsey.
Yeah.
And my previous last name was Fink, which I had picked up in my mom's second marriage because I wanted to have the same last name as my mom and my stepdad. I was born Wright, which isn't a bad name. But so anyway, I wanted to have the same last name as the man who essentially raised me, Ramsey, Larry Ramsey. And so I changed my last name to Ramsey. And when I went down to the courthouse to do it, it was like a birthday present for him. His health was ailing, and I thought it might lift his spirits, and it meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
And so I changed and I was also I was the last boy in that family, so the name was going to die. And so, and then I had a daughter, so it's still going to die. Yeah, probably. But at least I get to be the last Ramsey instead of my dad. But when I went to change my name at the Austin courthouse, they were like, just your last name? And I go, well, how much does it cost to change other names? And they go, it's just one price. And I went, oh, I hate my middle name. My middle name was Paul. Who the fuck wants to be named Paul? So I changed it to Laser on a whim, but I had to appear in front of a judge, and the judge goes, all right, I see you want to change your name to Jeffrey Paul Fink to Jeffrey Laser Ramsey. And the judge goes, are you hiding from a creditor? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
And he goes, and you think changing your middle name to Laser will benefit you in some way? And I just said, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they let me do it.
Yeah, that's the big fear, right? Is that they think you're trying to hide from some creditor or get out of some debt that you owe.
Yeah.
Because if there's anything in America you cannot escape from, it's a crushing financial burden and debt. We built this country on that.
I didn't know how to explain to the judge. I'm playing fast and loose with this because I've done that with everything in my entire life. So why not?
We've been doing this for 19 years, but I think we started traveling and doing meetups in 2004, if I remember right. So I think we've been doing this for about 18 years, like doing the meetup side of things for about 18 years.
With Jacksonville?
That's not the one I was going to talk about. That's up there.
That is the first thing we ever did.
Yeah, it is.
That was the very first. I mean, it was a convention, not a meetup, but I feel like the lines are blurred there.
Yeah.
Right?
We didn't know.
They both were work for this. And there are a ton of stories from that trip we could probably tell.
Yeah, absolutely.
2004. Yeah. What were you thinking of?
May of 2004. I was thinking of one that was a couple of months later in August of 2004, which was when we went to Melbourne, Australia, which was our first international trip. And that was interesting because that was, I think, our first, what I would say, like a fan meetup or like a community meetup, because we did this event in a theater. And then when the event in the theater was done, we were just like, hey, we're just going to go to a bar and drink. If anybody wants to come with us, you're more than welcome to. And we didn't even go to like a third, like another location. We went to the bar in our hotel. We basically told everyone in the theater what hotel we were staying at. And we're like, just come to the bar and drink. And we just drank with like 30 people who showed up at our hotel.
We didn't.
And played pool.
We didn't know. We hadn't figured a lot of shit out at that point. So
Geoff broke the electricity in that hotel too.
What?
Like the entire building lost power because of Geoff.
Yeah, that's true. I plugged my cell phone into the wall.
It was like pre-iPhone. It was like some little shitty Verizon phone, and Geoff bought like that adapter to adapt the plugs, but it doesn't change the voltage. And I was like, "Don't plug that in; it's not going to work." And he plugged it in anyway, and there was this really bright spark and a loud noise, and all the power in the building went off.
The statute of limitations probably run out on that, right?
And then you like screamed and you like pulled your arm back from the wall, and then we're like, "Well, that sucks." And then we just left the building. We're like, "Oh, let's go do something else."
It was fixed by the time we got back.
It was.
So, speaking of the very first event we did, which was kind of a community meetup, we didn't realize we had a community at that point.
Yeah.
And we were blown away, Eric. You probably maybe never heard some of these stories. And for this we could talk about all the green room and all the the shit that went down in the green room.
Yeah.
We could talk about the elevator ride with the dude from X-Files. We could talk about our first panel and the hallway afterward. And we could talk about Harry Potter.
Well, I want to rewind it a little bit even further, That entire trip started off bad, on a bad foot.
It did. Yeah.
We, this is our first time going to an event, and it was this convention in Jacksonville.
We were invited.
Right, we were invited. They contacted us out of the blue. We'd never been to an event. We're like, all right, yeah, and they're like, we'll pay for your plane ticket. We'll pay for your hotel, and we're like, yeah, this is a scam. What is this?
Like, why the fuck would somebody pay for us to go anywhere?
So we're like, all right, whatever. We go down. Jeff and I carpool. We were living together at the time.
Yeah.
So we drive down to the Austin airport, and we get there. We go to check in, and they're like, yeah, you don't have a plane ticket. Like, yeah, we knew it. Scam.
Yeah,
they're just
fucked.
wasting our time. They're just screwing with us. And then, we we emailed the event organizer, like, yeah, we knew it, you motherfuckers. There's no plane ticket here. And they're super apologetic. And then they book us another plane ticket that leaves in a couple of hours. So we have to sit in the airport with all of our luggage because we can't check the bag because we don't have a ticket.
Yeah.
So we have to sit with all of our bags and everything just in the airport for an extra 4 hours while I wait for the next flight to take us to Jacksonville.
And then we went to Jacksonville. And we check into our hotel. We don't know what to expect. We don't even really know that we have an audience at this point. I mean, people are watching the content, but we don't know that people are going to show up to see us in person. And by the way, Gus and I were terrified. I'll go ahead and say that. I'd never met at that point, we'd not really met Rooster Teeth fans. Mm-hmm. Maybe we had met Scott back in the day.
Now that I think about it, we did a screening in January of 2004 before this. That was our only experience.
Was that at Alamo?
That was at the Lincoln Center.
Oh.
We did a season 2 premiere.
That's right.
But that was, I think, very different because it was like a theater and people who came specifically to see our thing. This was a convention. This was a wider audience.
Yeah.
This was not people who were coming to see a thing just for us.
That's true. So we go to this event and we're kind of walking around in a daze. We have a panel. And I remember being very stressed out about this panel because I didn't know I'd never done a panel before. I wasn't super keen on speaking in public, to be honest with you, or in front of people.
What a weird thought.
Yeah, I know, right? It's it's become so old hat to us now. But I had done a little bit of it, in public affairs training in the military. I was required to. I super wasn't comfortable with it. And so... And Gus and I remember we consoled ourselves, but we were like, nobody's going to be here to see us anyway, so we'll just sit behind a table for an hour. No one will be there.
Right, we'll fulfill our obligation.
And then we'll be fine. And then this is the last opportunity like this we'll ever have. We'll go back to Austin, and then no one will ever call us again, and we'll be fine. They usher us into a room, this tiny little room, and there's already, I think the room holds 100 people, maybe.
If that, yeah. It was pretty small.
And it was standing room only, and there were people waiting outside. And Gus and I were freaked the fuck out. And we ended up fumbling through a panel, which the audience made it very easy. I have no idea what we talked about.
I think it was all just Q&A stuff.
I think it was probably Q&A stuff. I remember enjoying it, and I remember thinking
it was that was a lot of fun.
This is not bad. But then the audience asked, are you guys selling merch on the floor, in the convention hall floor? And we were like, no, but Gus had brought an extra suitcase with him and filled it with just random Rooster Teeth merch that we had at my house.
Yeah, that's why we had bags to check at the airport. Normally, I never would have checked a bag for this. I was just like, oh, you can check a bag for free. I'll just fill a bag with shirts, and if someone wants to buy one, we'll have some shirts.
And so we thought, or giveaway. We even thought, if anybody comes, we'll just give them a shirt, right? Thanks for showing up. And so Gus said, well, I have a suitcase full of some stuff.
Jesus Christ.
And so we did this panel, and then he goes, I guess I could just, if anybody wants to buy something out of my suitcase, I guess. And then so we go to sell it, and they're like, no, you got to clear the room out because the next panel's coming in. So in the hallway, we stood there against the wall, and 150 people just crowded around us and just bought whatever Gus pulled out of the suitcase.
Yeah, it was
we emptied the suitcase in 5 minutes.
It was, if you think about going to a meeting room in a hotel, there's always in a hallway. Yeah. We just sat in the hallway, literally sat on the floor in the hallway. I opened up a suitcase, and I was like, who wants a Griff shirt?
Size small. Anybody want a small grip shirt?
Just reaching into the suitcase and whatever I pulled out, it was that's what I would sell.
Wow. And it was and that was a light bulb moment for us. That's the moment we decided to start going to conventions and buying booths, which is eventually how we met you, Eric.
Yeah.
Which we can get into at some point. But it was and we went back to Bernie and Bernie and Matt and we're like, you're not going to believe this. Seriously. And they didn't believe us. And we had to convince them. We're like, no, we sold 60 shirts in 2 minutes.
Do you remember, I want to say it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event. I think our panel, all that stuff happened on Saturday, if I remember right. On Sunday, before we went to the hotel, we were doing one last final walk around the event and stuff. And someone was like, oh, have you not been in the exhibit hall yet? Look, there's a whole floor of people who sell stuff here. oh, look, that's your booth right there. Were you not in your booth all weekend?
Yeah.
We're like, oh, we had a space
Yeah.
that we could
What?
we could be
Nobody
like meeting
told us,
people
and we had no idea.
Yeah, we're like, oh, this is like 100 feet away from where I was selling stuff out of my suitcase. Like we had a spot, we could have done this. And that's where we're like, oh, that's how these events work.
And from that event, like what we learned from that event, we immediately set forth. I remember doing hours and hours of research, learning about every convention in America, and we built a plan. I think the next one we probably went to that year was either Comic-Con or Anime Reactor in Chicago.
We went to Comic-Con in 2005.
Right, it was the next year.
Yeah.
We got very lucky. That was a whole thing. We can get into that at some point. But I think Anime Reactor might have been the next. That was like, I want to say like October that year.
Somewhere around there.
In Chicago. Yeah. Which I have some other funny stories about you from that one. But I remember you drunk in an elevator.
God, that was a nightmare.
Yeah, you were something. I remember. Well,
we got an indefinite
I had to
number
pretend
of
I didn't
podcasts.
know you in that elevator because people were like,
I want to pretend I didn't know me. Like when we're telling this story, I can act like that was someone else who does not exist and is not present in the room.
Let's stick on DreamCon for a minute. Anyway, so this is at this point we don't know anybody. We don't really know anyone else from the convention. We don't know a lot of people from the community. So we were just on our own in Florida. And so Gus and I, and this is 2004 in your head doesn't seem like that long ago. Mm-hmm. It is technologically light years ago. We decided, let's go to the movies, right? And so we find the closest movie theater. They're playing, I think, Harry Potter.
It was a Harry Potter movie. I don't know which one. Whichever one came out in the summer of 2004.
Yeah, it was like 2 maybe. And we were like, fuck it, let's go see that. And it was playing at, I want to say like 9:30 maybe. Yeah. And so we take a cab, like we call up from, I guess,
well, I think
Google.
it's like they're waiting at the hotel.
Okay, right.
It's a pretty big
there you
hotel.
go.
Yeah,
we
you
just go down to the
walk
hotel,
down, on a cab.
And we just take a cab to a movie theater. I remember exactly because I thought we were going to walk it. It's 7 miles away.
It's far.
It was pretty far, but it was the closest movie theater.
We MapQuested it
to this place. We did. We MapQuested it. And we go and we watch Harry Potter. We come out and it's like 11 and the theater's emptying out. And we realize we don't have a way to get back. And so I don't even know how we found the cab company.
I think it
was Gator Cab Company. I remember that.
When we took the cab there, I took a card from the driver.
Yeah, that's
and it had the phone number on it. I was like, oh, when we're done, if there's no cabs at the theater, God, we were so stupid. We can call this phone number and get a cab to come get us.
And so we get out, we call the cab, and they say, yeah, we'll send somebody. And then we stand there for probably a half an hour, and the theater starts to empty out, and the parking lot starts to empty out, and then we don't hear anything. Nobody shows up, so we call again, and I'm talking to this lady, and I remember the lady
she wasn't happy with her job.
She was mean. She was an angry lady. I'll remember that. And she was not putting up with any bullshit. And I was like, well, nobody showed up. And she's like, sir, we are busy. I said we will be there. We will be there. And I'm like, okay. So we wait another half an hour. At this point, it's midnight.
Yeah.
At midnight, all the lights at the movie theater turn off.
What?
And we are in an empty parking lot with the lights off.
It's just
and
dark.
It's pitch black.
Yeah.
And we're the only people there. And Gus and I are starting to get a little nervous. It's not the best neighborhood in Jacksonville.
It's not like super scary or anything.
Yeah, it's not Compton, but it's not like it's not great. And so I call her back, and the lady yells at me for calling her back. And I'm like, and Gus goes, "This is the only cab company around here, dude. Don't piss this lady off." And so I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to. I'm just apologizing effusively to this lady." And anyway, eventually the cab came. What time did the cab show up?
It must have been like 1 in the morning.
1:30.
Oh my God.
It was 1:30. Yeah. So the cab shows up at 1:30 and eventually brings us back. So we stood in the parking lot in the dark from 11 to 1:30.
It was probably longer than we watched the movie.
It was longer than the movie.
Yeah.
Kind of terrified. We were half ready to walk the 7 miles back, but you had to walk over an interstate.
And since it was 2004, it's not like we had smartphones. We had a vague idea of the direction of the hotel.
Yeah,
I'd never been to Jacksonville before.
Flip phone didn't have instructions.
Right. And I was like, it's in that direction, about 7 miles. I don't know specifically how to get. I think the hotel was by the water, by like some kind of marina or something, if I remember right.
Something like that.
I was like, if we get to the water, we'll be able to find it. And it's in Jacksonville. There's water everywhere.
And I remember, St. John's River, right? And I remember cars would come by and drive by real slowly, and we would think it would be the cab driver, and it would just be people looking at us, and they drive off. And that was super scary. And I actually took the card that Gus had, and I'm just remembering this now, and I put it on a like a little magnet, and I made it a refrigerator magnet, so I'd always have it. I think I lost it at some point.
Oh man, I didn't know about
But
that.
yeah, I had it in my house for years and years. Yeah, and I would laugh at it every time I saw it.
It's funny back then. No matter how prepared you thought you were still like a stupid human being with nothing to help you. And I wonder why Uber was able to displace taxi companies. I wonder about it. It's one of those things I'll never be able to figure out.
God damn.
God, do you think about that? Calling a cab, and we were like, it's funny because we were at a young enough age where we were dumb.
How old were you?
Do dumb stuff like that?
In 2004.
In 2004, I would have been 26. I guess I should have been smarter by then.
I was 29, I think. 28 or 29.
Maybe we should have been smarter.
We were very young and dumb, though. I was a young 28, 29, for sure.
You had spent time in the military, which is, well, I mean, it's like,
like stunted your growth.
well, no, it's like you're not out and about. Like you live a very regimented life.
I wasn't in the real
You're-
world.
Yeah, you're being told what to do.
Yeah.
Like everything, you're living
Scheduled
within
for
like
me.
bumpers. Right. So I think, it's not that it stunts you. It's just that it's not the same as being out in the actual world. It's a very different life. I ever tell you I thought about going in the military when I was younger?
No.
I started the process when I was in high school of applying to West Point.
Wow.
Yeah, and I got pretty far along in the process. God, it's been a long time. If I remember right, you need to have like letters of recommendation from like your senator,
State
and,
senator, yeah.
stuff like that. And I was gathering all of that material to send off with my application to West Point. And I think I got to the point where I was like, do I really want to spend 4 years in the military after I finish college? And even then, like in college, like having to do all the physical training and all of that stuff. Like, am I going to dedicate 8 years of my life to this? And I was just like, but like in the back of my mind, I was like, hey, you come out, you're a second lieutenant, like it's not that bad. I was like, then finally one day I was like, nah, I can't do that.
Probably one of the best decisions of your life, not to join the military. And I say that for two reasons. One, I was in the United States Army for 5 years, active Army. And two, I was a journalist and a public affairs specialist in the military. And so the last year and a half or so that I was in the Army, I was the one-man public affairs office for the United States Military Academy's preparatory school. So this is in New Jersey, at Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. So if you didn't quite make it into West Point, but you had a lot of promise, you were just close, like maybe you needed a little bit more math, or maybe you were a little pudgy, or whatever it was, you could go spend 1 year at USMAP, which is the preparatory academy for West Point. Or like if you were an athlete, they were really big into lacrosse at West Point in the military, and there were a lot of like lacrosse athletes that didn't quite have the scholastic acumen to get into West Point, but they really wanted them on the lacrosse team. So they would that was kind of like their path to get into West Point. And so I spent a year and a half in that world. My last year and a half in the Army, part of why I got out, and you would have been unbelievably miserable, and they would have, and those guys would have hated you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
For a myriad of reasons.
But I also think about the timing, like in retrospect, right? Like I graduated high school in 96.
Yeah.
So if I did 4 years at West Point, I would have been done in 2000. And I would have been in the military as a second lieutenant from September 11th, 2001.
Yeah.
Like I would,
Great.
yeah, I most likely would have like spent the next couple of years in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah, you definitely would have. No joke, you would have. And speaking of 9/11, since we're just rehashing old stories,
Let's do it.
I was in the United States Army from 1993 to 1998, and then I signed up for 5 years. You had to get a decent job, you had to sign up for 5 years. If you wanted to be, not that infantry isn't a decent job, but if you wanted to go in for combat arms, you only had to go in for 2 years to get your full college education, your full I forget what they call it, Army College Fund benefits. For me to get the full Army College Fund benefits, because I grew up a poor kid in Alabama with bad grades, I was not going to college. This was my route to college.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be combat arms. I knew that wasn't for me. So I chose journalism and photojournalism. They required you to go 5 years to get the same benefits. So I had to go in for 5 years. So I got out in 98, moved to Austin, whole other deal. Then I found out shortly after, they may tell you differently, maybe it's different now. They don't tell you when you join the Army, or at least in the 90s, they didn't tell you join the Army, that no matter how much you're signing up for, whether it's 2 years combat arms, 5 years as a journalist, 4 years as a cook, whatever it is, you're actually signing up to the military for 8 years. You're committed for 8 years. It's a bait and switch. They don't tell you that, right? So when you get out of the Army, after your 5 years, after my 5 years, I found out that I was still in the military technically for 3 more years in what's called the inactive reserves.
Oh my God.
I had no idea, which means if there's a war, they can call you back. So while I was working at our day job, telenetwork,
We worked at a call center.
We were doing the beginnings of Rooster Teeth at that point. I think we were doing Drunk Gamers maybe, or Ugly Internet,
at that time,
those things. I was still in the fucking military, and I didn't realize it. 9/11 happened. Gus and I were at work together. We watched it. We were working that day. We watched it on the TV at work. I realized that day, I'm still in the fucking Army. I'm going to go to Iraq. They're going to call me back. We're going to war.
God.
I was terrified. I went home that day, and in my mailbox was a letter from the United States military, a big envelope from the United States military. And I thought, how the fuck did they get to me this quickly? Like, it just happened today.
Oh my God.
I've never been so scared to open an envelope in my entire life. And when I opened that envelope, there was this thing called a DD-214, which is your official discharge from the military.
Holy shit.
I was officially discharged from the military on 9/11.
What?
Yeah, insane.
This is such a weird coincidence.
Insane.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I wouldn't have been called up anyway. Obviously, things didn't shake out that way.
Right.
But
It was your fear in the moment.
it was
You're
my
like, you
fear,
don't,
yeah.
You don't know what's
so
going on.
I actually got out of the Army on 9/11. And that was like, that was the scaredest and most relieved I've maybe ever been in my life in the span of 2 minutes. That was insane.
It's weird to look back and think about like all those strange coincidences or seemingly inane small decisions you make in your life that end up having like a ripple effect or a bigger effect down the road that you don't even think about.
Yeah.
I think that's like one of the things we're focusing on and talking about in this podcast is like the seemingly small decision to move to Austin for whatever reason, and then seeing the transformation of Austin and the transformation of our careers and our jobs, just from weird bullshit. Like you and I, you talked about the call center. You and I worked at that call center. It was never my intent to work at that call center. When I first moved to Austin, I moved to Austin back in January of '98. I was crashing at a friend's place down off of Riverside, and he was a student at UT. And I was looking for a job. He was looking for a job, and I was applying everywhere, and I could not get hired.
This is Joe.
Yes, Joe.
Okay.
I couldn't get hired anywhere. Like I went to Highland Mall, and every single store that had
Which was a mall still at that
it was
point.
still a mall.
Yeah.
Every single place that had like a hiring sign, like I applied. Like I didn't care, retail, whatever. I was trying to get any job I could because I had no money. No one was hiring me, and Joe didn't have a car. And he was looking at the Daily Texan, which is the UT newspaper, and there was a help wanted ad for a call center, and he was like, "Hey, can you drive me down to this call center? It's just like a little further south from where we live." I was like, "Yeah, sure." I drove Joe down. He, applied, did his interview at the call center, whatever. Took him back home, and then the next day he went off to class at UT, and I woke up and I was like, "Why didn't I apply for that job? I'm looking for a job." So I applied for that job, and then like later that day, Joe came back from UT, taking the shuttle. And he walked in. I was like, "Hey, you'll never guess what? I applied for that job you did down at the call center." And right as I'm telling that, my phone rings, and it's the call center, and they're like, "You're hired." I'm like, "Oh, cool. They just hired me."
How did Joe handle that?
Yeah. That was such a I don't know. I felt weird. He was like totally fine with it. Whatever. I was like, man, I stole that job from Joe.
Yeah.
I got that job solely because when I was living in New Jersey before I'd moved to Austin, I had been PAing at View Askew Productions. I PA'd on a short film they made, and I was trying to work my way into being in film. And then through a series of circumstances that we can talk about or not at some point, we got a million of these episodes, I ended up in Austin. I moved to Austin. I had been on tour with a band, and we played in Austin, and it was December 13th, 1998, and it was 75 degrees, and we went swimming. And I thought, why the fuck am I living in New Jersey? I mean, it was more complicated. There was marital problems and stuff that were involved with it as well. But so I moved to Austin almost immediately. And the only reason I got hired at Telenetwork is because the guy who interviewed me knew that Bernie had made a film in college. And he goes, "Oh, you work in film? Well, you're going to love Bernie." And then we started talking about Star Wars.
Holy
with
shit.
me and this guy, Brian. And then he hired me, even though I wasn't qualified. I didn't know anything about computers, because I had quote unquote worked, I'd PA'd in film. But I had a similar story where when I got here, I opened up the want ads because going back as far back as we were going, you bought a newspaper and you looked in the want ads and you circled all the jobs. This is the dark ages. And the first job I got was the Sierra Club. and they had management positions available. And I was 23 and I was married, and I thought like I had 5 years in the Army under my belt, and I thought like I should go for a management position out the gate, right? So I went there and I go, I'm here for the management position, and they go, okay, cool, we'll just put you through the training. And the training was going door. They teach you how to say a script and go door to door, and ask for free shit or ask for money from people. Mm-hmm. And I go, this doesn't seem like management. And they go, yeah, but you got to do this for like 2 weeks, and then you get promoted to management. And I was like, oh, I'm sniffing your bullshit. Okay, got it. And then they give me a script to learn, and they go, all right, you've got 6 hours to learn this script. And I learned the script because it was 3 paragraphs in 4 minutes. And I went back and I go, okay, I got it. And they go, wow, you really are going to be a good manager. And I was like, it's not hard. It's fucking 3 paragraphs. And then I had to show them that I learned it. And I'm looking around at all the people around me, and they're struggling, and they're practicing back and forth. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, am I even in the right place? And then at the end of us all learning, they go, all right, we're going to go out and we're going to put you guys to work. And they drove us all down to, I don't know what the neighborhood is, but it's like between UT and Hyde Park, that area.
North Campus.
North Campus. Okay. They put us in North Campus, and there's all these old, beautiful houses, and it's a pretty rich neighborhood.
It's all students.
No. This is like, it's like west of Red River and east of Speedway. Like,
yeah, it's North Campus.
Yeah, but there's like mansions and shit there. There was like rich ass houses and stuff.
Oh, I guess, yeah, like by Trudy's, where the Trudy's used to be.
Yeah, like
okay,
there and north.
There
right?
are some.
It's all
nice
north,
yeah,
all north of where Trudy's was.
Yeah.
So we're walking around that neighborhood, and I'd seen a pizza place called Double Dave's.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, oh, I might get pizza there later, because it said they had a buffet, and $6 was like my price range back then. I was broke, and I had a wife, and I was living, it was a whole thing. And so we go door to door, and the guy's like, all right, I'm going to take you up, and I'll give the spiel, and you'll watch me do it, and we'll go up in groups of 3, and then after everybody sees me do it, then we'll all go and take our turns. And so I'm walking through, and I'm like, this is such bullshit. I've been bait and switched. This is nonsense. But I'm like, but I need money. I got to make a living. I was hoping that I would get hired on at a newspaper somewhere, because I had been a journalist, and I had put out I actually got offered a job in Temple for the Temple Daily Telegram, but it was like an hour and a half away pretty much. And I didn't want to do the commute. And so I thought maybe I could find something in Austin. And, I was pretty dead set on living in Austin, because I had been stationed in Killeen for 3 years, and I would come down to Austin.
You're like Austin adjacent.
Yeah, I was Austin adjacent from like 94 to 97. And I had moved to Austin because of Slacker. Or I had asked the Army to put me in Austin because of Slacker, and they got me as close as they could, which I appreciated. Turns out nobody wants to live in Texas in the Army, and so it was easy to put me at Fort Hood, because it's a shithole.
Really? I feel like it's a big base. Like,
it is a huge base.
Yeah, there's tons of people there.
Tons of people. 50,000 soldiers, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody
50,000
wants
people who don't want to be there.
Who don't want to be there.
Also,
who don't get to pick. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, on top of that, I feel like Texas has huge military presence. Tons of Air Force bases in San Antonio. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Tons of presence. Nobody, just because
they don't want to. Okay, gotcha. They don't want to.
Just because you're there doesn't mean you want to. Like, if you've ever been to Killeen, you go, oh, I see. Nobody wants to live here.
Gotcha.
There's hell on earth. Killeen is Killeen is one big like loan office, like paycheck cashing loan place next to a pawn shop. And it's just like that replicated through an entire town.
Beautiful.
Just places designed to put soldiers in high interest debt. It really is, just to take advantage of young kids.
What a great town.
So we're going up door to door, and I'm like, this is like, not to sound like a dickhead, but I was like, I could do better than this, right? And so I'm going through, and the guy goes to me and he goes, all right, it's your turn. You're going to do this. And I go, and it's me and the 2 employees of the Sierra Club, and then like there's like 8 of us that are in this training program. And I go, I don't think I'm going to do it. And he goes, listen, it's okay. I know you're scared. But it's going to be fine. I'll be right there with you. And I go, I'm not scared. I'm like, I'm really not scared. There's nothing scary about this. I just don't want to do it. And he's like, come on, it'll be fine. Everybody gets the jitters. And I'm like, you're not hearing me, man. I have no jitters. Wow. I'm incredibly confident that I could go up and talk to this lady at her front door and give this spiel. I just think I'm meant for more than this, And he's like, you'll do it. It'll be fine. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take off. I wish you guys the best. I think this isn't for me, but best of luck. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go back. I'm just gonna take off. And he's like, well, this guy's obviously too scared. And I'm like, not scared. And I go, anyway, y'all have a great day. And I start to walk away, and some guy goes, hey man, you mind if I walk with you? And it was one of the other dudes, and I go, yeah, that's fine. All 8 people left with me. I didn't mean to. Everybody else watched me walk away, and they go, yeah, we're not doing this either. And the 8 of us went, and we walked to Double Dave's, and I bought everybody a pitcher of beer, and we all had pizza, and then I left, and I never saw those people again for the rest of my life. But we just left those 2 Sierra Club people with clipboards on the street in that neighborhood, watching us walk away into the sunset.
That's wild. Like all it takes is like one person, and then everyone else realizes, like, oh, that's an option.
Yeah, I guess, right? Like we don't have to do this. This isn't. Yeah,
you're not being forced to.
And then after I had that lunch, I went and I went back to the want ads, and I got a job as a Kirby vacuum cleaner salesman, and I went through 2 weeks of that training. And the day I showed up to work to be issued my first vacuum cleaner and become a door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesman. Kirby vacuum cleaners were like $2,000, $1,500 back in the day in the early 90s. I can't imagine getting somebody to pay that much money for a fucking vacuum cleaner.
And with inflation, I can't. That's got to be so much more money. That's
the price
ridiculous.
of a BMW now, right? Yeah. And I went to work, and the same thing happened. I went to work, and they had told me, "Listen, we are a family, and we pray together, and we are into this." And there was like a religious undertone to it. And I went to work, and we were required to sing, like, I don't remember what it was, but there was like a company song, and then like pray.
Whoa!
And I went in, and they were starting that, and I go, "I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
And they're like, "You have to." And I go, "Okay." I quit. And they're like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna pray with you guys, and I'm not gonna sing the company song. Like, that's
not joining
for me.
a cult.
I'm not joining a cult. Yeah." And so I left, and I went home, and I went back to the paper, incredibly defeated. Yeah. And the next thing I circled was the job where I went and I interviewed.
Wow.
Told them that I had worked in film, and then I got the job and met Gus, and that's how it all happened.
Well, so I feel like you painted a very vivid picture there. Mm-hmm. There was one place that hired me before I got the call center job.
Okay.
The only place I could get a job was doing telemarketing, cold calling people, trying to sell them security systems.
Was it in a hotel?
It was right behind the hotel over here. What is it? It used to be the Red Line. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
Crown Plaza, whatever. It was like right behind there, like kind of where the Social Security office is now. I showed up. I did 1 day of training. And they were all like, "This is how you do it. You call people, give them a spiel about security systems." And then it was actually, I left that. I left training at that place. I went, interviewed at the call center, and it was that day that the call center called me and gave me the job. So it's like, so I showed up for 1 day. I did training on cold calling people, selling security systems, and that was it. It's like I never went back to that.
Did you sell any?
No, it was just like, here's a script. This is how you do it. This is how the phone systems work. Like I didn't actually make any calls. It was just like, and I observed someone else make calls.
So I remember seeing that there was that one, and there was also, I don't know if you remember this, water filters. That was another one where you'd go and you'd call. They were always in the paper. My ex-wife, she actually got one of those water filter jobs, which was, I think, in tandem, kind of similar to what you're doing. But she showed up, and it was a motel. And it was they had rented a motel room, and somehow it had like 3 phones in it. And there were just like people in the room just like sharing the phones, making calls. And she was like, "All right, the fuck out of here.
Weird.
This is how porn starts, This is weird." Man, it was a different fucking time.
Really different.
We have a connection to Home Slice that we could get into.
Okay, yeah, I think I know where you're going with that.
You probably remember that.
Yeah.
So I remember that this was a paper store for a while, kind of like a Scott, like a The Office, like Michael Scott's kind of. For a while.
Yeah. I'm talking about after that. Then.
Okay.
So this place opened. It opened as a pizza place like 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Before that, there used to be a little trailer here. Remember, it was like Melvin's Deli. There's a little red trailer here. They had great Reubens, but they're gone. But before that, when this was still open, after it was a paper place, this was a pediatrician's office. It was a doctor's office. And out front here, kind of where that white truck's parked over there, kind of by the accessible parking, there used to be a little merry-go-round, like a little carousel, like the kind you put a quarter in, like outside of the grocery stores back in the 80s. And you and I were driving by. I think we were going to garage sales one Saturday, and we were driving by the street here, and we were like, "Oh my God, holy shit, look at that old carousel, that old merry-go-round."
This is 2004?
No, it was before that.
No, this would have been like
02 or 01.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe about 20 years ago, we're like, "Oh shit, look at that little carousel. Let's get down and take pictures on it and ride it." So we were like 25 or so. So we like stopped the car, pulled in over here, like crawling all over this merry-go-round, like taking pictures, being real jackasses, and then like the doctor and some nurses come out. Apparently the place was open. We didn't realize it. And they started yelling at us. And we just like booked it back into the car and took off driving in that direction down North Loop.
Cheese it.
You remember that now?
I do. I vaguely remember
It was right here.
I forgot that we used to do a fair amount of that. Like we would see. Like, I have a vague memory of us taking pictures riding somebody's stone gorilla over, like, off Westland.
Yeah, that was over in Clarksville.
Yeah.
That girl is still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to be fucking stupid.
And yeah, obnoxious.
Yeah. We were more obnoxious with our stupidity. I feel like we're mature and reserved idiots now.
We don't shove our obnoxiousness in people's faces anymore. Now it's like if they want it, they can seek out the obnoxiousness and consume it.
Yeah.
It's not like
There you
going
go.
out and doing stuff and bothering people who are just trying to live their lives.
Do you know our other? I actually realized when I was mentioning the other, I have 2 connections to Home Slice.
You do.
The one that I was going to mention though is through our business, Rooster Teeth. Do you remember why we are tied to Home Slice?
The mural.
The mural.
Yeah.
When the original Home Slice opened up on South Congress, it was designed. If you're in Austin, you know exactly what we're talking about, and if you're not, it was designed like a kind of a carnival,
Yeah.
big top kind of pizza-y, and they had this huge, gorgeous mural with like an elephant holding a pizza, and it was just very well done. And we were working downtown at the time. We
Yep.
had our office at 7th and Congress.
Yep.
And which was above the Pita Pit.
Yep.
Used to be a Wendy's.
Used to be a Wendy's. There was the upstairs dining room of a Wendy's.
Yeah, when we moved in, we had to rip out all the. I remember half of that Wendy's was bathrooms. We had to rip. There was like 8 stalls.
There were so many stalls and urinals.
Yeah.
Why were there? And it was all upstairs.
Yeah,
Why
all
was-
upstairs.
Why?
So it was like 40% bathroom, and so we like I remember where we made Red versus Blue for those many years was in the men's bathroom. Or women's bathroom.
It was the women's
It was
bathroom,
we had to
yeah.
rip out the women's bathroom, and so like 3 seasons of Red versus Blue were made in the women's bathroom of a Wendy's.
Converted.
The Cat Metro came by.
That we call that texture. That's some ear texture.
Ear texture. So a converted women's bathroom. Nobody was currently peeing in that room at that time. And so we had an idea. I believe it was probably Matt's idea. He always had the good ones. To do a live act. We were getting kind of branching out from animation. We wanted to do live action stuff. Like Bernie and Matt had just bought a Red camera.
Yeah.
And I remember this because I remember being so frustrated with those guys for about 3 years because they bought this. We were some of the first people in America to get a Red camera, and we had talked about how we wanted. Bernie and Matt were filmmakers. They made a film in college at UT, and they wanted to get back into filmmaking. Gus and I
Live action filmmaking.
Live action filmmaking. Gus and I didn't give a fuck. We just wanted to make stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we just wanted to
Internet,
be creative,
whatever.
do internet, whatever. But so we bought all this camera equipment, and then we were talking about making a movie. And then they found out about the Red, and they were like, well, we can't make the movie till we get the Red because the quality is going to be so much better.
Right, obviously.
So then we waited like 6 months, and then we finally get the Red, and then we're like, all right, let's make something. And then they go, well, we need to spend some time getting used to the Red and getting to know it. And I just remember it was like this dangling carrot where we never quite got to the thing.
Yeah.
One of those series, or one of those things they wanted to do was they wanted to make a show called Advertism. And it
Oh,
was
you're saying the name.
Oh, why not?
I don't know. It's not-
I think we've mentioned it before.
I don't know. All right.
The show was called Advertism, and it was about an advertising agency that it was like an aggressive advertising agency. I thought it was a phenomenal idea.
It's a great idea. Don't
Where
steal this. Copyright.
We would go and we would say, like, we're going to make a Ford commercial. And then we would just make this ridiculous Ford commercial and then invoice Ford. And
Yeah,
say,
like
"Here."
we would put the commercial out on the internet and
Yeah.
then send them an invoice.
And then send them
see
an
if-
invoice.
See if they'd pay.
That's fucking genius.
We
That
got
is
so
such
far-
a good idea.
I remember we cast for it,
Yeah.
and I don't know where it fell down, but we needed an office environment, so we hired the people who made the mural at Home Slice, a company called Blue Genie Art, and it was the main guy Rory, I believe.
Yeah, it was
the
Rory.
one. Incredibly talented, like the epitome of old Austin, kind of just like Austin artist in the '90s kind of guy, just like
And he knew his shit. Like,
knew his
yeah.
shit. It was just like easy going. Just he was everything that was right about. It was everything that attracted me to Austin. And so we were really excited to work with him. And we had him make this oppressive mural that was in Latin. I don't remember what the Latin is off the top of my head.
It was like work, consume, and redouble your efforts.
Yeah, that's what it meant. Work, consume,
it was
redouble
a
your efforts.
Voro in Gemino. Something. So I don't remember shit.
And it was this big blue dystopian, like a factory with men in suits going in and out.
Laboris.
And there were what's that?
Voro in Gemino Laboris.
Okay.
Something
Okay,
like
well,
that.
Don't Harry Potter curse me. And there were like B-2 bombers in it, and it was just like it was really
It was
depressing.
like if capitalism had propaganda the way that
communism did during the Cold War.
Exactly. That's a great way to describe
it. The idea behind it.
And so we built this mural. We hired them. They spent months making it. They came and they installed it. It took up the entire wall of our office, and then we never made the show.
And that mural's still in the office.
That's still so. That's what that's from.
Yeah, that's what that was
I had to
supposed to
look
be.
at that the whole time.
Yeah, which apparently I hear a lot of employees don't like, and it makes them feel uncomfortable.
Do you know why? Nobody knows the origin,
right,
but it's just oppressive capitalist propaganda that we have to look at every day.
It's in our office. It's in our break room.
The reason we kept it is totally too. It's ridiculous. It's we have or at the time we had a airplane hangar at the Austin Film Studios, and the office we moved to was so big that we just stuck it on the wall to remind us this mural used to be the entirety of our workspace.
Right.
Now it's like lost in this giant wall. So for us, it makes us feel good every time we see it. Like, oh, we made it.
Hey, look at that.
That's
thing.
really great for the four of you.
Maybe we should tell more people that story.
You should tell anyone that story.
Well, maybe they'll listen to this podcast.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was it's a really cool mural. I like it.
The other story I have related to Home Slice is the lady who owns and started Home Slice. Her and her husband or partner. I actually don't know that setup. I just know that two people started Home Slice. They both worked at Dell, I believe, or Intel, and they quit their job and created this awesome pizza restaurant.
It's great.
I don't know how true the stories are, but supposedly they used to like fly the dough in from New York City back in the early days, and I know they would send employees out to go work in pizzerias in New York for like 2-month stints to like kind of to really get into the weeds of how to make good New York City pizza and come back. And I went to a New Year's Eve party. Like one of those ones where it was like a fancy dinner, like a multi-course dinner, and I ended up sitting next to the lady who started Home Slice. It's the only time I've ever spoken to her. It was just like dinner chat. She was very lovely, and I had my dog, who recently died, my bull terrier, and I couldn't figure out what to name her, and we had been going round and round trying to figure out what to name her. We'd had her for over a month, and she goes, "Oh, you should name her Arrow."
Really? That's where that name came
and
from?
I went, like, excuse me? And she goes, like the old cartoon from the 70s about the kid, and he's got the dog that's got an arrow face, and it looks just like your dog. And I went, oh, yeah. And that's why we named her Arrow.
I had no
idea. I've never
idea.
spoken to that lady since, but I had that dog for 12 years, and she named my dog.
I had no idea that was the origin of that dog's name.
Yeah, from a New Year's Eve party over on the east side.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dinner party.
And now our listeners are listening to the composting recycling truck.
Break it down.
Audio texture. It's audio texture.
We're getting a lot of audio texture in episode 3.
I think that was the goal with this podcast is to, one, go to different locations and, like we started this episode, talk about the stories that it evokes in our memory, and two, like, have the sounds of the city and the sounds of the things that are going on to try to, like, convey that local feeling to people who maybe have never visited here.
Well, and also, I mean, this podcast is in a lot of ways a love letter to our friendship, but at least in my it might be a love letter to our coworkership to you, acquaintanceship in my estimation, but it's also by far a love letter to Austin, right?
For sure.
And I probably wouldn't have even thought about the Arrow story if we weren't sitting in the parking lot of the second location of this.
Well, I think that's the
restaurant.
great thing is we spend so much time in the city that wherever we go, we're gonna have stories. Like we were walking here, we pointed at the house over there. We're like, oh, remember Nick used to live in that house.
Our friend Nick,
we would visit him over here,
who worked at the tech support company, where we started Rooster Teeth.
Yeah. And I remember at the time visiting him up here, being like, man, that guy lives in the middle of nowhere.
Can I prompt you guys again?
Yeah, please do.
So last time you talked about sort of working jobs to get to that call center job and everything, right? So did you guys get hired at the same time, or was it around the same time? Like, I don't know, like, how that all sort of worked.
I got hired almost a year before Geoff. I got hired in the first couple days of February 1998 was when I started. And I worked there for almost a year before Geoff got hired. By the time Geoff got hired, so there were different tiers of technicians. Like when you first get hired, you're a level 1 technician, just take whatever calls. Then if you do well enough, you got promoted to a level 2 technician, where you would wait for the calls that the level 1s couldn't fix, and they would transfer it to you and you would fix it. Or you'd do callbacks if you needed an appointment. And then if you stuck around long enough, you became a manager. And you would,
team leader, as they were called. Yeah.
So when Geoff got hired, I was at the point where I was making the transition from level 2 technician to team leader. And Geoff was a level 1 technician when he got hired, but he worked for a different team leader.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Oh,
Brian.
I remember. Yeah.
Or Paul. Brian. I think I worked for Brian.
You worked for Brian initially, and then I think you got eventually transferred to Dave by the time you were level 2.
Yeah.
And I remember Dave and I were both team leaders at the time, and Dave didn't like you.
What are you going to do?
I remember, like, when you got hired,
I
like,
don't remember being crazy about Dave either.
you were like a phenomenal call taker. Like, all your times, like, there's a big metric in call centers, right? Like the times and like how quickly you can resolve an issue. Like, all of Geoff's times didn't make sense. Like, everyone was like, is he hanging up on people? Like, is he not resolving these calls? Like, this is like, all these numbers are way too good. And so Geoff was like a phenom at the call center.
I will toot my own horn. The average call time at that place was 8 minutes. That was the goal you wanted to hit. This is an outsourced tech support company, so it was Windows 95 and people with Windows NT, Windows 3.1, Windows 95 calling in, having trouble with their dial-up internet connections. At least that's what it was at the time.
Yeah.
We were there long enough to go into broadband a little bit. However, so you would shoot for an 8-minute call time. And I was trying to get you start as a trainee, and then you get promoted to level 1. Trainee made $6.50 an hour. Level 1 made $8 an hour. I was 23 and married, and had just gotten out of the military. Was kind of shell shocked from that.
Not literally.
Not literally. Yeah, I'm not like I had like literal PTSD. Just like I just had spent my only 5 adult years in the military, and I was transitioning into the real world and trying to figure out what the fuck I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to go to college, and so I was also Generation X, the last generation of people who wanted to go to work at a company, work 20 years there, get your Rolex, and retire.
We wanted to, but we realized that was not happening. That ship had
dream
sailed
died
for us. Yeah.
Yeah, but so I viewed that company, the day job Telenetwork, as an opportunity for that. And I needed to get that extra $1.50 quickly. And the team leader, or level 2s, made $10 an hour. And the fastest anybody had ever been promoted to level 2 was like a year and a half. And I made it a goal. And that was Gus. I made it a goal. I got promoted to level 2 in 4 months.
Whoa.
My average call time was like 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, we kept monitoring his calls. Like, we were like, he's hanging up, like, he's doing something wrong. Like, we would monitor his calls and be like, what's he doing wrong? Like, no, he's nailing it. He's killing it every time. He's doing it absolutely right.
And I was just so hyper-focused on making more money that I made it my goal to be the best person at a tech support company in Austin, Texas, in the world. Just because I was desperate for cash and for like some sort of purchase in my life, like something to, like I needed some sort of direction, something to work toward. And interesting, there was another dude at that place named Geoff, Geoff. I'm a Geoff. And Geoff.
You can beep it.
Geoff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll beep that. And I almost got fired because of that guy, because people started calling in and saying I got hung up on by Geoff. And they were like, he is full of
Hanging
shit.
up on people, yeah.
He is bullshit. And so they were monitoring me twice as hard. They found out the other Geoff was hanging up on people, and he got fired like the next day.
Very quickly, yeah.
Very quickly. Almost took me out with him. Yeah.
And I remember, like I said, Jeff's manager, Dave, didn't like him very much and didn't want to promote him. Didn't want to give him the bump. Like Dave and I were hanging out. We had a basketball hoop in the parking lot. I don't know if you remember that. And Dave and I were hanging out in the parking lot one day. Dave liked shooting hoops. And I was like, Dave, if you're not going to promote him, give him to me. I'll take him as my employee. And then I kept having to beat up on Dave. And I was like, I'll trade you one of my other employees for Geoff. I traded him one of my other good. It's like a sports team. I traded him one of my other good employees so I could take Geoff on. And then Geoff became my employee only very briefly, just because I was like, we need to promote Geoff. We need to keep Geoff around. So like Geoff became my employee for the briefest amount of time. And I was like, all right, you're promoted.
Yeah.
You're like, that's it. You like, this is stupid that we're playing this politics game and this dance at a call center.
At a call center.
Yeah.
For people who were just working there for beer money.
Yeah. There's two stories I want to tell here. There's the story about the guy who hired himself.
Yeah.
And then
we got to tell that
story.
story.
There's the story about the attempted midnight robbery.
Yeah. Well, we can also talk about Jason and his interactions with the company. I feel like we could do an entire podcast just in stories about this call center. Yeah. Now that I think about it, when I started in February '98, the call center was still really small. A typical shift might be 3 or 4 people. Mm-hmm. By the time Geoff came on, there had been a renovation and expansion. Mm-hmm. I don't know specifically what a shift was when you started. It was probably like 20 people. Yeah, no, it was like 12.
It was 12?
About 12 people, and the company had about 60 when I got hired.
And then
they've got like 1,500 now, by the way.
Yeah, it's huge. They're a massive company.
It remains to be seen. Jury's still out on whether Gus and I made the right decision when we rolled the dice and left the company.
You might have blown it by starting Rooster Teeth.
He's not joking.
I'm not joking.
Yeah, I was like a low double-digit employee over there.
Yeah.
Like as far as like hire date, and then it's undergone crazy expansion, but. By the time Geoff was also, we were both managers. There was the shifts had grown quite a bit. And there's a lot of turnover in that business. We hire at the time we hired a lot of college students. Show up, work for a while, quit. No big deal, right? That's circle of life. We tried to make the job as easy as possible so that even if someone had no tech knowledge, they could come in and very quickly get up to speed and start taking calls. But because of this rapid turnover, sometimes there was poor communication on the management side. Sometimes employees would show up for their first day, be like, "Oh, well, I don't have your paperwork. I don't know. Well, let's get you started in the system." And you get them going. One day, this dude showed up. It was like, "Hey, I'm here for training." Neither of us was working on this day. It was another manager was working. It was like, "Oh, well, I don't have any of your hire date or your paperwork." It's like, "Well, let's just get you started in training and everything." Started the training, started him taking calls, and it wasn't until the next payroll was getting run that I think it was Bernie.
Yeah.
Who was like running the payroll. It's like, "Hey, who is this guy? He's not in the system. We can't pay him because we don't have any of his information."
So then they had to retroactively put it in, and then later he admitted that, he just showed up and said he'd been hired and said he was here for day one of training, and Brian was the manager, didn't catch it, and was and so he hired himself.
Yeah.
And he promoted himself to level 2.
Yeah.
Same way.
He was a good employee.
He also
here comes the crazy twist.
Here comes the crazy twist. He also played Donut in Red vs. Blue. What? Dan Godwin.
That's how we met Dan.
That's how we met Dan Godwin.
He hired himself at the call center. And we were like, "Oh, that guy's a go-getter."
This is insane.
Yeah. There's so many weird stories like that with that call center, and that people we know still to this day, and that we've worked with for a long time.
Yeah, like I consider Gus my oldest friend in Austin, but technically I've known Jason a little bit longer, Jason Saldana, the guy that plays Tucker, because we started training together on day one at that call center. So we met each other. There was like 4 people in training. We met each other that day, and then he was such a piece of shit employee at that company. Dude. He also was very smart, got promoted to level 2.
I want to tell how I met Jason.
I would love to hear it.
So
I want to tell how I met you.
Okay. This was a call center, obviously, a bunch of computers, and, at nighttime when there wasn't as much call volume, obviously the shifts got smaller, so all the computers weren't in use. So sometimes we would go, and it had a really fast connection to the internet. Mind you, this is the late 90s. So sometimes, at night, some of us would go over and we'd play like Quake or Doom or whatever, because it's all these network PCs, they're all on the internet. So we would have like Quake 2, I think it was at the time, actually. Quake 2 sessions at night. And Jason, I believe he lived on campus at UT at the time.
Yeah.
He didn't want to drive down because the call center was down in South Austin off of Ben White. He didn't want to drive down there, so he'd connect from his dorm room at UT. And so he just like started joining our Quake 2 matches, and his Quake 2 name was Poop.
Was Poopy.
Poopy. So I was like, "Who the hell is this Poopy guy?" Like, "Oh, it's Jason. He works with us." That was his nickname for 10 years.
Yeah, we called him Poop
We called him Poop for like 10 years.
And he hated it.
And guess what? When you hate a nickname, it's going to get used more.
I remember one of the funniest moments of my life is we had another friend who worked there named Bradley, and he was dating a girl who was really cool who had a twin sister. And Jason was single at the time, and we were all at we were at Emos going to see a band, and the old Emos, and I was trying to facilitate I was trying to wingman a little bit. Did not go that way. And I introduced Jason to this girl, and I wasn't thinking. And I go, "Oh, hey," I don't remember her name, but I go, "Oh, hey, this is my friend Poop." And she goes, and he goes, "Ugh," and I go, and she goes, "Oh, that's sad."
I'll never forget that reaction. That was the best reaction in the world.
Reaction I've ever seen. Just her face, and she just went, "Oh, that's sad." And she's like saying it to herself, And it was. And he used to beg us. He'd be like, "I really, seriously don't like it. Can we stop?"
No, especially asshole us in our early and mid-20s. That was not going away.
When we were both employees on the floor, he was so brazen with how he didn't give a shit. He would be like, we'd just be sitting there working 2 hours into a 6-hour shift. And he would go, "I don't want to be here anymore." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, what are you going to do? We got 4 hours to go." And he goes, "I think I'm just going to leave." And I go, "You can't do that." And he goes, "Watch this." And he'd go, "Hey, Brian, I'll see you tomorrow." And just walk out the door. And Brian would go,
just like, look at him.
Yeah. All right. Have a good day. And they never got in trouble.
And it's not like the team leader didn't know. We had the schedule right in front of us. We could see the comings and goings, so we knew what the call volume was going to be and keep track of the employees. You knew the schedule. It was on right in front of you the whole time.
He was just so confident with it.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Do you remember, if we're talking about employees there and being brazen, do you remember, did you ever work with Robert?
Which Robert are we talking about?
Again, we need to
bleep this name.
The last name.
Are we talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was not a great employee.
Great guy to drink with.
Great guy to drink with.
Maybe the best drinking buddy we've ever had.
He was not a bad employee, but he wasn't like a phenomenal employee.
Very smart.
Incredibly smart guy. But he would show up to work in the morning, hungover, usually. Big drinker. We hung out with the guy all the time at night. But he would show up to work hungover in the morning, and you picture like a cubicle farm. That's where we were all sitting for our taking our calls. Here comes a trash truck, by the way.
Yeah.
Little audio texture. He wouldn't sit at the...
It's maybe too much texture for a second.
He wouldn't sit at the cubicle. He would sit under it. And he was on the floor under the cubicle, and the only way you knew Robert was there working is every now and then his hand would come out
and
to hit the phone to answer it whenever it was ringing, and there was just like a headset dangling under the cubicle onto the floor.
That's awesome.
I remember one of the managers one day going over to him and going, "Hey, Robert, I'm gonna need you to sit in your chair," and he goes, "I'll get you tomorrow, man."
It's the best.
Dude. But this was Austin in the late 90s.
Yeah, it's like, whatever.
The entire city felt like that. That was the charm.
So, how did you two meet then?
You remember the story. You were going to tell it.
So, I was going to say, I don't remember. Yeah, I do kind of remember the day. So, first off, this is going to sound hilarious. I was intimidated by Gus.
That's really hilarious, because if you picture me in the late 90s,
he was all head.
I was probably 30 pounds lighter then than I am now. I was a skeleton with a giant head.
He was. And the reason I was intimidated by Gus was two reasons. One, he was he was Gus, so he's like a prick from the get-go without meaning to be. It's just his personality, right? And I was faking it till I made it at that place. I was not a tech guy. I think I mentioned last time, I had only got hired because I had PA'd on a film. And could talk movies. And so I was scared of him because he was the guy I had to go and ask for help. And he just always looked at me like I was so fucking stupid that I should have known this. And he was also one of the cool kids at the place.
Wow. Okay.
No, seriously.
That's news to me.
Seriously. There was the Jacobs and there was the Justin.
Those were the cool guys. I was not part of that group.
Gus was a part of them.
I was not part of that group.
I always thought he rolled in that circle. And so I was kind of intimidated by him.
The people he's naming, they're the people who worked there when I started. They were like the old guard.
I didn't have that historical knowledge when I worked there. He was just talking to those guys when I came in. And they were all very intimidating. They all they ran the show there. And I felt really dumb all the time. So I was kind of intimidated by that whole scene. And I was determined to break in and make friends. Because I'm 23, I'm just out of the Army, I'm in a city where I don't know anybody. I literally moved to Austin. We can get in that some other time, but I moved to Austin without a place to live. I just, my wife and I at the time, we showed up at the first, it just happened to be on William Cannon, the first apartment complex that had a sign in front of it that said they had a vacancy, and I just rolled in with a U-Haul that day and said, "Can I move in today?" And they said, "Yeah, absolutely."
I forgot you used to live off of William Cannon.
Yeah, it was a place called Cooper's Hill. It's gone now.
Yeah.
It's something else now. So I got invited to a party from one of the other level 2s, this girl, and so I was like, I got to go.
Was it Lindsay?
It was Lindsay and
Laura.
Laura.
Okay.
Yeah, Lindsay and Laura, they were living together, I think. And
it was off of Old Torf.
It was. We can tell you some stories about those guys. You remember Snatch Ass?
That's a whole other story.
That's a whole other story. Like I said, we worked at this call center together for 5.5 years. We got tons of stories we could tell about it. So I went to that party, and the party they said started at 9. But I heard it wrong, and it started at 10, and I showed up at 9 with my ex-wife, and they didn't know what to do with us, and they were just getting ready, and we sat on their sofa for an hour just feeling
It's so
horrible. Like once I was in the door, I couldn't leave. I couldn't be like, oh, I'll be back in an hour. And I knew if I left, I'd never come back, and I'd never talk to those people again. And so they were like, just still chill. They gave me a drink, and like we just sat there, and I'm like, can we help? And they're like, no, we got it. And they're like putting makeup on and getting ready and putting out chips and stuff. And we're just sitting in this shitty apartment off Riverside, my ex-wife and I, just like watching them for an hour. Gus was the first person to walk in the door.
I'm very punctual.
And I
Was it at 10?
at like it was like at 10:01 or whatever.
Listen,
and
at 10, I'm there.
and I just went straight for him. And I just like, I gotta talk to somebody. There's the guy. I want to be friends with those guys anyway. And I just struck up a conversation with him.
I totally forgot about this. That's hilarious.
I don't remember what we talked about.
Probably talked about work.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't remember how awkward it was. But the night ended with us going, and I don't know if you remember this. The night ended with us, you and I, and my ex-wife at the time, and a couple other people. I don't remember who else was with us. Probably Theo or somebody. And you guys all went to Casino El Camino.
Oh, yeah.
And you let me tag along.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I'd ever been to Casino. And our friendship was cemented that night by the end of the night at Casino.
Casino rules. That reminds me, that time you and I went to Casino, I was in the middle of a streak where every time I went to Casino El Camino, Starship Troopers was playing on the TV there. It was like 6 times in a row, and I was convinced like there was something wrong with me because every time I walked in, it was always Starship Troopers, and it was always more or less the same place in the movie. It's like in the training montage where they're in the shower, and I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on here?
We should do a whole episode about Casino someday.
Yeah, we should do an episode
We should do
from
it
Casino.
at Casino in the
that
back.
little courtyard in the back.
Yeah, they have that courtyard.
I haven't been there in...
I haven't been there a long time.
Are you serious?
Probably 10 years.
That's probably my favorite bar in Austin and my favorite burger in Austin.
Used to be. It's gone through some quality
Ups and downs. It happens.
ebbs and flows. But
Really, those guys who make those burgers that are like that have the quality
we have
rationality?
we have some great stories about Casino. Some sad stories about Casino, actually.
I do want to talk about Casino. Maybe we should save that for if we do an episode there. But you said a name that reminded me of another story.
Please go for it.
You mentioned Theo.
Oh yeah, you were gonna tease this story last time.
So again, this is all just to put it in context. A lot of these stories are like late '90s, early 2000s. Totally different world. And now it's raining. Now, by the way, little audio texture for you. The first digital camera I ever saw in my life was at that call center.
Yes.
The call center bought a digital camera to like take photos, like headshots of the employees to attach to their profile on like the intranet. That way you could like look up employees and see who you're talking about and everything. And you could, since it rarely got used. Like if they were going to use the camera, they were going to use it at like 9 a.m. on training days, and all the other times it wasn't being used. So you could check it out kind of like a library. If you were an employee, you could check out this camera and take it home.
Yeah.
And this camera was so old, it used AA batteries, and it connected to computers via a serial port because USB didn't exist yet. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And if you filled up the internal storage of this camera, which was probably only like 100 megabytes or something, and you wanted to transfer the photos via your serial connection to your computer, if the camera was filled with photos, the batteries would die before you could transfer all the photos off of it because the connection was so slow. But anyway, getting ahead of myself here. You could check it out, and you could do, take photos, do whatever, and then like turn it back into to the company. And one day we were all hanging out. I think we were all on shift, and Theo came in. He like returned the camera, and he's like, "Oh man!" He like sat down. He's like, "That camera's great. You can do all kinds of things." Like, "Yeah, that must be neat." I hadn't used it yet by this point, and he's like, "Yeah, I took it home, and I did that same thing everyone does when they first get a digital camera. Took a picture of my balls." And there was like this long pause. And we're all like, what? He goes, yeah, I just got the camera down real low, got a low angle. I want to see what my gooch looks like.
And he was like, I made my balls look huge.
And we were like, Theo, are you fucking with us? He's like, no, you all did it. Come on.
He's like, come on, everybody took a picture of their balls.
It's the first thing you did when you got the camera home. You took a picture of your balls. We're like, no, Theo, no. What? Yeah, and he just like tried to pass it off so nonchalant, like, Everyone does that. Like, you're weird for not taking a picture of your balls.
And he was such an outwardly cool guy. Like, he had cool hair, and he was in a band, like a math rock band, and he was like, oh, God.
So whenever I think of digital cameras, I inevitably think of Theo taking a picture of his balls. And, and now there's cameras everywhere.
He was so indignant, too, I remember.
Oh, God.
God, he was so, and he was, like, gleeful that he made his balls look big. Like, he wanted big balls. And with the angle, he made them look huge.
It was the 90s,
Yeah.
God, different time.
Oh, my God.
So you guys struck up a friendship at that party in a casino.
Yeah.
Was it like fast friends thing, or was it?
Yeah, pretty
really?
much, yeah.
Yeah. We, I don't remember the courtship.
Well, I think...
Exactly.
If I remember right, I think early on, it probably wasn't
the first thing we talked about, very early on, we talked about making content on the internet together.
Yeah.
Because Geoff had already been making a zine.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had, I grew up in the punk scene in the 80s and the 90s, and so I started making zines when I was like 15. Then I joined the Army in 93 as a photojournalist and public affairs specialist, and so the last year and a half I was in the Army, I was in Fort Monmouth, New Jersey at the United States Military Academy Preparatory School, and they wanted a website. And so they came to me and they said, hey, you're the website guy. And I go, I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, figure it out. And so the last year, I had no choice, but it was my job to teach myself how to make websites in like Netscape Gold or whatever. And so in the process, I learned how to make their website. And I started, it was my light bulb moment where I went, I should move all my zine stuff online. And so I started making all my punk zines online. And then I think we bonded over.
Yeah, and then I knew, like around the same age when I was like,
It's a regular truck.
That's just a truck.
It's just a truck. This is the loudest thing.
Yeah.
When I was the same age, when I was around 15, I learned how to make web servers. And I learned how to host web servers, and I learned the very technical side of that. So then I was like, well, I want to make content, but I don't know how to, like, I knew how to very fundamentally make websites. I know why you're laughing. I could make very rudimentary websites, but I needed someone to work with to help me with that. And Geoff knew how to make websites as well. So I was like, we can make websites together, and we can make funny stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
And why are you laughing, Geoff?
I'm laughing because in the process of this, Gus showed me the first website
No,
he'd ever
you
made.
found it on your own.
I found it. He told me about it. He told me it doesn't exist anymore, but I could tell it did, and so I tracked it down. It was a website Gus learned how to make, I think in math camp or something.
It was at math camp. I used to go to math camp every summer.
And it was like the official, like the unofficial. Gus grew up in Eagle Pass, Texas.
Middle of nowhere. Like
Middle of
closest
nowhere.
town is
Border
San Antonio,
town.
which is like a 3-hour drive.
Right across the border from Piedras Negras.
Yes.
Which I think is where they made nachos first or something.
Yeah, the nacho was invented there.
Yeah. And he took me to the restaurant where they invented the nachos.
That
and told me the whole
restaurant's
story.
closed. It doesn't exist anymore.
Oh.
You're lucky you got to go there.
That sucks. Well, I'm glad I got to go. Anyway, so I find this website that he made in high school, and it's Gus's like unofficial Eagle Pass, welcome to Eagle Pass website. And he goes, hey, my name's Gus. Take a ride on the Gus bus and let me show you Eagle Pass.
He's doing a voice. There was no voice on this website. And there was a picture of like a VW bus. Remember that? It was like this blue VW bus. And there was like a whole page devoted to the Blue Oyster Cult.
It was the Eagle Pass and Blue Oyster Cult fan site.
Because my pedophile computer science teacher was a Blue Oyster Cult fan, and I was like, oh, Blue Oyster Cult's pretty cool.
So I show that to Gus. He's horrified. It spreads like wildfire through the office, right, through the tech company. And then within a day, he got it taken down. He had to track down his high school teacher.
The problem was, it was like a math camp. I didn't remember how to log into that server. I had to like find the people who administered that computer network down at Texas State. It was Southwest Texas back then, and have them take that website offline.
Oh, he was so horrified.
Take a ride on the Gus bus.
Take a ride on the Gus bus.
I wonder if I could find. I bet I could still find that same VW bus image. I should look for it.
You should.
And see if I can find it.
Do you have your zine stuff anywhere?
No.
No, I mean like not online stuff, but like any like zine, like in print, like anything like that.
I don't know. I'd have to look back through my old stuff. I mean, I've moved so many times, shit gets thrown away. But that's part of why I wanted to do the face zine, was just to like kind of play in that world again a little bit.
But I think that's really, and here we are still, 2022, like working together, collaborating, making content. It's much easier now than it was back then. But it was
longest creative partner of my life, by the way.
It was such a niche thing back then. Like, oh, you want to make stuff and you want to make it online? Like, making stuff online, like in the late 90s, like what was it? Like, it was fan pages and like the cringy shit I made in high school. Like that was it. So it's like we wanted to try to make original things. And that's when we were talking about driving around, and the reason we stopped here when it was just a doctor's office was we were making content back then. We would go to garage sales and we would take photos of stuff we would find and just like invent humorous stories and post it like blog style on the internet. And that was like a big thing we would do for years, just trying to find stuff to post online.
Yeah, we would we called it drunk sailing. SAILING.
Like garage sailing.
Like garage sailing, drunk sailing. And I would wear a little captain's hat, like a little Captain Boater's hat. And we would write these stories. They were like photo essays, right? About how we were hungover. And then we would come up with little, we'd just make bullshit up. Like we got into a car accident, we ran somebody off the road, and then this happened.
Take a picture of a car wreck that we saw, stuff like that.
And we were just like taking the piss out of stuff and just telling these stories and we were essentially just trying to find old video games.
That's all it was.
At yard sales, but we crafted these little stories about them, and people really latched on to that and liked it in a way that I don't think we recognized at the time. And then we found out years later that people believed a lot of that shit.
Yeah, they thought like, wow, did you get away with running those cars off the
And we're
road?
like, it was all made up. It was, I mean, the hangover stuff was real. We were always hungover. Gus used to have to drag me out of bed in those days.
Yeah.
But then after, that was for our second website, Drunk Gamers. And after we stopped making that, some community members from that site who lived in Chicago continued to do that and put it online for like another 7 or 8 years. Wow. Yeah. It was really cool. Yeah, it was interesting that idea lived on and had its own life with them and then their scene for a long time.
Yeah, it was that stuff was a lot of fun. And looking back, I remember we had a website counter. I think at its peak, like those stories, we would get like 3,000 views a day, which was huge.
Back then.
Yeah, I was like, man, that's massive. There's like a couple thousand people who are into this and who want to like come see what we're doing. And that's how I would drag Geoff out of bed on the Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Like, hey, listen, we got to make this. There's people who want to see this.
There's like 200 people waiting to see what happens.
Who want to see what we're going to do today. And we came up with, should we talk about the garage sale games we came up with? I don't want like people to take this in a bad direction. We never did these because they were a little too evil.
Or if we did them, we're not acknowledging that we did them.
Yeah.
But because I was going to say we should roll into Ugly Internet and where we started. But that's probably a conversation that's probably a whole episode.
That's a whole other one.
So let's stick with garage sales.
So, again, late 90s, early 2000s, garage sales got advertised in newspapers or like little yard signs. You put a sign up, garage sale, pointing in this direction.
Or news groups.
News groups, yeah. So we came up with like almost like guerrilla-style garage sales we wanted to make. Or we wanted, like, I don't know what you would call it. I think guerrilla-style garage sale might be the best descriptor.
Performance art.
We called one surprise garage sale, where we would advertise a garage sale at an address and not tell the people there, and then set it for 7 a.m., and then we would show up and set up a garage sale in their front yard at 7 a.m. and start selling stuff until they came and kicked us out. We had another one we called the Grand Prix, where we would set up garage sale signs that said garage sale this way, and it would keep pointing you, but it pointed you in a big circle around the block, and the goal was to see how many times you could make people do laps and who could get the fastest lap time. And looking for a garage sale that doesn't exist.
I'm not saying we did that one, but if we had, it worked very well. I'll just say that.
We also had reverse garage sale, where you would show up with your own stuff you were trying to sell at someone's garage sale, and you would try to sell them something you brought to them.
Yeah.
So it's like they're trying to sell all their shit, but you bring your stuff there and try to sell it to them.
This is wild.
We also had one where similar to the first one, Guerrilla Garage Sale, but you get up at like 4 a.m., you set a bunch of signs to a house, and then you get to that house, and then you just put a sign that says yard sale around back and just points to their backyard, and then you just sit back and watch people just start walking through somebody's backyard.
Because there's a lot of trust involved with these garage sale ads. As you realize now when we're saying all this, there's a lot of trust that's easily exploitable with hilarious outcomes.
Oh my God.
Now, I don't know what the statute of limitations is in the state of Texas, but I will say, for the record, Gus and I are not acknowledging that we did any of these
We're
things.
saying these are bad things and you should not be doing these things.
Having an idea and then acting on that idea are two entirely different things.
Oh, man.
For the record.
Those were we spent a lot of time thinking about garage sales and going to garage sales, which is why we started thinking about funny twists to them. Like this,
Yeah.
in a way, this is kind of like breaking video games. It's the same thing, where it's like you
Yeah.
play a video game, you're like, I want to do the thing that they don't expect me to do. And
Well, it's sort of like I don't think we either of us recognized it at the time, but we shared a certain comedic and creative sense of expression. And
assholes.
Well, yeah. Well, it was very Gen X, I think.
Yeah.
As I'm learning, I'm reading a lot of Chuck Klosterman in my old age, and I'm learning a lot about why I did the things I did growing up. It's fascinating. But it was very much of a time, and I don't think we realized it just made sense to us. Like, we were just bored kids looking for fun. It was an extension of all the shit I was doing in high school in Alabama, and I assume all the stuff that Gus was doing in Eagle Pass. Trying to. And but never with any malicious intent.
It was just to make ourselves laugh.
We're just trying to make ourselves laugh. And we just kept fumbling through it and eventually
Eventually,
landed on
people
Michigan.
really like some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I have a lot of stuff I want to talk about with ugly internet, but we should say that because there's a lot. I mean, a lot.
Ugly internet was I would say one of the most formative things that happened to us.
We learned a lot. I mean,
scared the shit out of ourselves.
Yeah, that's the thing I want to talk about, but we'll have to save that for like a future
let's
episode.
save it.
I used to live not too far from here. I think this place opened after I moved.
It did.
I lived, back over in that direction a bit. I'm not gonna get into detail here. But it's funny to me because
But you don't live there anymore.
I don't live there anymore. I don't know. I feel weird about whoever does live
outing
there.
yourself for places that
Yeah.
You used to live in East Austin. We both used to live within
3 blocks of each other.
3 blocks of each other and within a reasonable distance of this place.
Yeah, and the reason I lived there is that when I was ready to buy a house, I did a search in Austin for. Well, you actually told me about this place, but I also did a search in Austin for the cheapest house, like in Austin proper.
What?
And that was that house. Like it was the cheapest house in Austin.
What do you consider Austin proper?
Like what we used to define Austin as, which is like
35 to Mopac.
35 or Mopac to 183 on the east and the north down to Ben White.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was Central Austin, and it was the cheapest house in Austin. It was a tiny house. It was really, really small, and it was. I want to say I paid $180,000 for it.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's right.
That same house resold last year for $600,000. I did not sell that house for $600,000. Whoever bought it after me then sold it for $600,000, which is just a testament to what a rapid change, not only Austin, but as a microcosm, East Austin has experienced. Where we are right now, specifically sitting at this coffee shop. It used to be in like the early 90s. You didn't go, like people would always be like, don't go east of 35.
Yeah.
Like it was super scary, super sketch for whatever reason. No, I never thought it was that bad. I thought people overblew that stuff. But that's why, the cheapest house I could find was over here on the east side. And that was 13 years ago or so, 14 years ago.
I bought a house in that neighborhood a little bit before you did. I moved there in 2005. And my house was $280 at the time, and I think
and that house was much bigger than the one I bought.
Yeah. But I think the Zillow on it is like $9 or something now. It's ridiculous. It's not my house anymore. I bought my first house in Austin in 1999. Wow. And it was $92,500. It was East Riverside.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I sold it. It's a funny story about why I had to sell it. It was a whole thing. But I eventually sold it for $145,000 in like 2010, and now I checked it out the other day. The estimate's like $580.
Dude, the interesting thing when you bought that house, I remember we were talking. We were friends at that point.
Yeah, we were friends.
You were telling me about buying a house. I'd never bought a house. I'm a couple of years younger than you, and I was wanting to learn about it. And I was amazed at the time at your interest rate on that house.
Because it was so good?
It was so good. It was such a good rate. I couldn't believe you could get an interest rate that low.
Let me blow you away, Eric. So I bought my first house. I was pretty young. I was 23 years old. And I bought it because I had been in the Army for 5 years. And so I had... I could get a VA home loan. It was one of the benefits of joining the military back then. You got Army College Fund, which I didn't use because we started Rooster Teeth, so I didn't need it.
And kind of dumb.
And I was kind of dumb. And a lot of literacy required. And then you also got this thing called the Veterans Home Loan, which allowed poor soldiers to buy homes at a really good interest rate.
How good of an interest rate?
You ready for this?
Yeah.
7%.
What?
Yeah,
That's
it was
what interest
so
rates
good.
were. The national average when I bought my house was 8 to 8.5%. And so when I bought my first house, the interest rate I got was 7%.
I think that's what a lot of people forget nowadays.
Wow.
Is that money became free for so long.
Yeah.
Like interest rates dropped to near zero after the 2008 financial crisis, and then just stayed there, and everyone assumed that was the norm. Yeah, 7 back then. I was
insane.
I was in awe of it.
That's crazy.
My real estate agent had never seen somebody my age get a loan that good at the time. Now my interest rate now is like 3%. I think.
Of course. Yeah. Mine's low too. So when you're saying 7, it's like, oh really? But in like 1999 dollars and everything, like that's
good.
That's pre.com crash.
Yeah.
It's pre 9/11.
Yeah.
A lot happened in a couple of years.
we were still walking the gates at airports back then.
I-35 didn't used to always exist as Interstate 35.
Okay.
It used to be called, I believe, Front Street. And Front Street was the street that divided Austin into the white part of town and the minority part of town. So east of Front Street, which is now east of 35, became designated the minority part of town, and only white people could live on the west side. So that's why when they built 35, they demolished that street and they built 35 in its place. That's why it remains to this day East and West Austin, because it was a racist delineation.
Oh. Is that the redlining stuff is all based on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I think a lot about South Congress, which is a really popular area that a lot of people go to. And what a different place that used to be when I moved here, even before I moved here. Like, it used to be that South Congress was a super sketchy part of town. Like
porn theaters and pimps and prostitutes.
Yeah, it was porn theaters, sex workers standing on the corner, people selling drugs. And now there's like an Hermes store. There's like trendy hotels. Like
there's a Soho house.
Yeah, that place has blown up. And I remember, like, it was funny to watch that transformation because when I moved here in '98, they were in the process of pushing all that out.
Yeah,
like all of South Congress was under construction for years when I moved here. It was like they're basically bulldozing. Well, not bulldozing it, but they're basically like tearing it all up and rebuilding it. And then when it finally reopened, it was like a lot of like kitschy vintage shops and like no big chains, just like a lot of like kitsch and vintage retro stuff. And to try to promote people to come down there, they would do this thing called First Thursday.
Oh, I remember First Thursday.
Jeff and I used to go to First Thursday all the time.
You drink for free.
Yeah, you would go down to South Congress and all the businesses would have free beer.
Wow, it's great being a first member.
There would be a keg. There would be a keg at every like parts and labor, like feathers, like every little store.
Walk store to store,
uncommon
drinking
objects.
Free beer. Yeah. And then just like hanging out, to like maybe like eat a little bit of food. And there was also this other thing that we would do down there. I don't know if you remember this, where back again in the late 90s, there would be press screenings of movies.
Oh, yeah.
And they would advertise them in the Chronicle. Like you would read through the classifieds in the Chronicle, and they'd be like, hey, free tickets to see American Beauty or whatever.
Man on the Moon. That's one of the ones we did.
Just come down to whatever store at 4 o'clock and pick up a free pass. And you would go there, and they'd be like, like at the register, there'd be like a stack of free passes to see this movie a week before it came out. And you'd pick up the pass, and then it'd be like, go to the Metropolitan Saturday at 2 p.m., and you can watch this movie for free.
He's not kidding. And it became such a thing. Gus and I were poor tech support company employees. Right. So we were looking for anything we could do free. And so we would scour the Chronicle, and then we would go and get tickets. It didn't matter if we wanted to see the movie or not.
No,
didn't
free
care.
movie.
It was a free movie. It was a way to spend 2 hours.
We didn't pay money to see a movie for years.
And we would stand in line for sometimes an hour and a half to get those passes. And sometimes we wouldn't get them. Sometimes they would give them out. What? Sometimes you'd walk right in and you'd get tickets.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you'd stand in line for the Blair Witch Project for an hour and a half and not get a ticket. Although we did get tickets.
We did get tickets to Blair Witch. Blair Witch was crazy. That was a crazy screening, too. Like, the line, it was at the Dobie, and the line went down the street.
Yeah.
Like, there were two lines going in two different directions, down the street in each direction. And it was madness. That was the craziest movie of that type that we went to, a press screening that we went to ever go see.
I think we saw, it's weird to even call them press screenings, right?
That's
like
what they were.
I guess they were, but anybody could
it's
go.
like they were going to show the movie anyway for press. The reporters were guaranteed to go in.
Yeah,
so then they would put people in there, I guess, so that
you
would clap or laugh so that it would have a more positive experience for whoever was there from the press to review it.
I'm trying to think of movies we saw. Punisher.
Resident Evil,
the Thomas Jane Punisher.
Wait. What year were you guys still doing this?
This was the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
We saw Tomb Raider. We saw
Doom.
We saw Doom. We saw South Park.
Yeah, we did see South Park.
We saw South Park for free.
Yeah.
What?
There was I think we even saw, what's it called? Bruce Almighty.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we did.
That was, yeah.
Wow. We saw Man on the Moon, and Jim Carrey was in the theater. He just showed up and sat in the theater a couple rows behind us.
Like, Austin was, like, that was the beginning of Austin being, like, in the national spotlight for being, like, a cool place to go. So whenever we would go to these advanced screens, like, maybe there will be someone in the audience, and that was the time. Like, Jim Carrey was there. I remember, like, we were convinced when we went and saw South Park that Natalie Portman was going to be there because she was in town filming Where the Heart Is.
Yeah, that's right.
That was filming here in town.
There was a time in Austin, this is obviously before cell phones, well, not before cell phones, but before smartphones and social media, where you would get up early on a Thursday. This was our 20s. We would get up early on a Thursday and drive to the Chronicle to get a Chronicle. Like, they would put them out. You'd get them there first. So you'd go get a Chronicle from the front of the Chronicle, which is just over off 35. Yeah, it's right over there. Like, by the CubeSmart, I think, or whatever it is. It's not CubeSmart. It's like whatever one of those things are. And then we'd go to like Starseeds or Magnolia or wherever you liked to go, and then you just pour through it and just circle shit. Oh, fucking Mighty Mighty Boss Tones are playing this weekend. Oh, cool. Gus loves.
I do not love.
Plan.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do not love Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Be very, very careful there.
Gus loves D-Plan, so we'll go see them at Emo's on Saturday, and then Sunday morning, if we stand in line, maybe we can go see Resident Evil at the movies for free. And
What the fuck?
It's
like
you
just like all your entertainment was literally in those rags.
It feels like early 2000s Austin is the 80s everywhere else.
yeah.
That's crazy.
We would laugh at news of the weird and misconnections and
Yeah, it's like internet content delivered via a print format once a week. It's like, well, all that stuff eventually, took off and became very niche websites that became popular.
Which is why, to take it back to the current day a little bit, the Austin Chronicle, if you're not from Austin, I don't know why you're listening to this podcast, but the Austin Chronicle, it's like the San Francisco Examiner. It's like every city's major rag, right? Like, what is the one in New York that we stole the quote from for RVB season 1?
Oh, it was
Village Voice.
Oh, that's right, Village Voice.
It's a funny story about the Village Voice. So when Red vs. Blue season 1 came out, the DVD, they reviewed it for some reason. I don't think we sent it to them.
Yeah, I have no idea how they found it.
We didn't send stuff out, but they reviewed it, and then it may have been because we did a showing at the Lincoln Center. I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
And the guy who wrote the article said, like, it's if a bunch of uneducated... I'm paraphrasing, obviously. I don't remember it. And this is some audio texture.
This is audio texture.
Probably a little... I'm going to get... This is probably harsher than it was in print, but it was essentially like... It's like if a bunch of untalented people tried to make Clerks meet Star Wars. And so we took Clerks meets Star Wars.
South Park meets Star Wars.
South Park meets Star Wars. Sorry, South Park meets Star Wars, and we just put that on the cover.
You're geniuses.
Yeah.
I think if I want to expand on the quote a little bit, it was something like, why is it whenever there's a new piece of technology involved, the first thing people try to do is create some type of form of South Park meets Star Wars?
Yeah.
And that's why Darren Waters, Village Voice, it's on the cover of the season 1 DVD, South Park meets Star Wars.
Then some RT fan showed that to that dude years later, and he was not happy.
It's a great quote. Thanks.
It's a great quote. We really appreciate it. Really sold a lot of DVDs.
So speaking of when I gave my 2 bits on that quote there, it made me think about something. This is episode 4 of this podcast. This is the first episode we're doing since the podcast has been released, like it's coming out now. And there's a very unintended side effect of making this podcast that I've been experiencing lately, which is the people involved in these stories have started texting me with their version and their notes and their corrections, to which I say, get your own podcast.
Yeah. Dude, Gus and I, he's not kidding. Gus and I got a bulleted list of corrections from Bernie after episode 1. To which I can just say, make your own podcast.
Oh, man.
But it wasn't. There've been other people.
Yeah, it wasn't just him.
Yeah, who texted in their version of stuff, which has been really interesting. But yeah, this is our reality. That's what I say. Like I've been reading some of the comments that people leave on the podcast, and that's the thing I try to impress upon them is that this is our point of view of what happened and those events. We're not trying to be deceitful or but this is how our interpretation of what happened or what happened through our lens and through our eyes.
Yeah, and how it meant to us.
Right.
Which kind of colors the way you feel about it or look at it. Totally. And, it's the older I get, the more I realize that things are very rarely black and white to begin with, And
It's funny you say that. When I was young, I felt When I was young, I can say that. When I was young, I felt like everything was definitely very black and white.
Yes.
I think I lived in a world of extremes. It was either yes or no, right or wrong.
No.
Oh my God. And it was like
he's really softened up in his old age.
Very, very quick to fly off the handle. Like if someone said Killing Eve came out on AMC instead of BBC America, that would have set me off back then. Now I'm a lot more calm.
Mature Gus.
That was just the car ride over. It was just Gus going, what was that?
Oh, but it's funny how much you do change. I feel like I'm definitely much more mellowed out than I was back then. A lot less angry.
You're a lot less angry for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird to think of you as mellowed out, But in the context,
This is just mellow as a kid.
in the context of the 90s and early 2000s, absolutely.
Oh man, I remember like we used to just I don't know how we're still alive, honestly. Like thinking back about some of the shit that we used to do when we were younger.
Obnoxious.
Like, yeah, how obnoxious we were, or like even the way we would behave when we would go out to like 6th Street. Like we would spend a lot of time on 6th Street, like being drunk assholes, like totally obnoxious dickheads downtown. I don't know how I did not get the shit beat out of me every weekend.
I think, I mentioned in maybe the last podcast, the first time I hung out with Gus, really, we ended up going to Casino El Camino. I think from that day on, we probably went to Casino 4 or 5 days a week for years after that. Yeah, like we instantly fell in love with each other and that place. And then we were just hanging out there constantly. And Gus is right. We were we were like 25, 26, 27 in terrible. Just terrible people. I remember we used to do this thing called Punch Club. You know Punch Club? We saw Fight Club, but we weren't Brad Pitt or Ed Norton. So we had Punch Club, which was the rule was you could punch each other not in the face or the dick, but anywhere else once without warning a day.
It was just like sucker punching each other.
Just sucker punching each other once a day. And the other person couldn't get mad.
Is that how it worked?
Yeah, in theory it did. Yeah, I don't think we ever really got mad at each other.
No, because we always did it right.
And it wasn't just you and me. There were like other friends of ours and other people that we knew that would also participate in this.
But like I remember one time I punched you at Casino.
It was like
Friday night.
Downstairs in front of the jukebox, like right across from the bar.
Yeah, and he wasn't looking, and I sucker punched him good in the stomach. He doubled over. And within 2 seconds, the entirety of the bar was around us because they thought we were fighting.
Yeah, there's like a circle opened up, and it was just like super crowded.
People up top, because, there's like upstairs looking down on us, yelling and screaming, and we're like, we're just friends. Like, we're okay.
What's funny is you sucker punched me like right in the stomach. I doubled over, the circle cleared, and as I was hitting the ground, I was already laughing.
Yeah.
Like I was cracking up at it. So then I stood up and I was laughing, and that group of people was so confused about what just happened because I got punched in the stomach and was instantly laughing on the floor.
Imagine going to Casino El Camino now and just seeing two guys in their 20s and they do that. Like you would think, they're getting in a fight.
Yeah.
Automatically, you would think they're getting in a fight.
No, yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying those people were stupid or anything. I'm saying we're the stupid ones.
Yeah, and it totally makes sense that they would think we were fighting.
Yeah, that is how a fight starts. That house you were talking about, that you purchased.
Yeah.
Well, I'm already going to distract myself. This tangent. That's how you met Bernie.
Yes. Yeah.
Because he was like we had talked about before. I was a manager at the call center, and he was like the manager's manager. He was like
the vice president or something. Yeah.
He was like a management there, and your home application came across his desk for I guess like income verification or something. And he thought it was unusual that an hourly call center employee was trying to buy a house.
Somebody making $8 an hour was trying to buy a house.
And I mean, what a testament to, again, like the kind of the underlying theme of this podcast, how much Austin has changed.
Yeah.
You were a call center employee making $8 an hour, and you were buying a house.
Yeah. That probably get me stabbed if I told that to the wrong person now.
Anyway, when we first started Rooster Teeth, I lived with you in that house for a while, for like a year and a half. Just because when we were starting the company, or when we first started, I'd quit my job and I didn't have one, and I had moved it back in with my parents, and so I was living for free, and we kind of started Rooster Teeth, and I was helping remotely with that stuff, and then as the work increased, I needed to come back to Austin. I'd moved away very briefly to live with my parents.
You got sick of rolling power outages. That's what it was.
Yeah, I'd moved to Puerto Rico for a while.
You couldn't play Star Wars.
Yeah, Galaxies.
Yeah.
I'd moved to Puerto Rico for like a year. Spent all my time on the beach, learned how to surf. It was like a whole thing. And
you can surf?
I can surf. Well, I could 20 years ago. And then I moved back to Austin. And since we were just starting the company, I'm about to devote all my attention to it. So Geoff very kindly let me live with him for like the first year I came back. So that way I could just focus and have Rooster Teeth as my job full time. Like, didn't have to worry about making rent. It was just like, handling customer service shit, helping get things in order, working on the website, just like all the minutia that needs to go on in order to launch a company, that you needed to launch a company back then. And it was I have a lot of fun memories in that house.
I do too. It was actually we lived there together twice because you lived there before you went to Puerto Rico as well for a little bit. One of the things that jumps to mind, I'll tell a story in a second, but there was about a 4-month window when you and I lived together in that post Puerto Rico period where I was between marriages. It doesn't have anything to do with like relationship, like dating stuff. I just wasn't in a relationship with somebody for a very brief window. And I just remember that 4 months of like living the bachelor life with Gus. It was the only time I'd ever experienced that in my life. And it was so fun and so freeing to just, I didn't do anything with it other than play video games and drink. But it was just like, it was the first time, because I got in a relationship at 19 and was married by 21. And then I was married till I was 28 or just 29.
Being an adult child.
Yeah. And so it was like, there was just like a 4-month period where like I woke up at noon. And I had never been able to do that before.
Yeah.
And because I'd been in the Army, and then at Telenetwork, I had to be working at 7 a.m. And that was really fun. Interesting thing, though, to bring it full circle, Gus is mostly vegan. I would say mostly vegan, occasionally not.
Yeah, I had a vegetarian kolache this morning just because they didn't have any vegan kolaches.
But you've been doing this for a while, and I think you're one day a week you eat meat or something is how it works?
Normally,
now?
I'll eat meat on the weekends. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't eat meat during the week.
And but for a while, you were strictly vegan for a long time. When
There's
Gus,
butter in the kolache, in my hand pie, too.
When Gus moved to Puerto Rico, I was actually vegan at the time. I had gone vegan, and I had been vegan for about 3 months. And Gus sat me down, and he said, listen, I'm going to Puerto Rico in 3 weeks. I'm not going to see you again for like a year. I don't know when I'll be back. I want to experience all of my favorite restaurants in Austin, and I don't want you to make this difficult on me. And I want to do it with my best friend. So can you just not be an asshole for 3 weeks? And so I was like, you know what? For the next 3 weeks, I'm going to stop being vegan. I never went back. Never went back.
Yeah, I would do the same for you.
And I appreciate it. I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I think it's funny now that you're the vegan guy.
It's just also it's weird that
it was hard to be
It was
vegan
so
back
much
then.
more difficult to be vegan back then. That's the thing I was going to hit on.
It was brutal.
Like the world has changed so much in the last 20, 25 years. Like I don't know how you did it back then. Nowadays you go to any place, and even if they're not like a specialty shop, they'll have a small sub-menu for people who are vegan or vegetarian.
I remember I went on a weekend vacation to New Orleans around that time with my wife at the time, and I almost starved to death in that city in like 1998 trying to be vegan. It was impossible. Eric, we were talking about this very first house I had that I bought for $92,000.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a story you probably have never heard.
Okay.
About how I lost that house and then how I got it back.
What?
So when I had that house for 7 years, met a new lady, fell in love, got married, we're going to have a kid. I made the mistake of Googling that house or like looking that house up on the sexual offender registry list. And within like 4 blocks, there were like 8 sexual, offenders, predators. And I went, well, I'm not raising a kid here, so I got to buy a new house. So I went and bought a new house on the east side and moved over there. But I kept that house because I had some of the people in my family had owned multiple properties. Like I had an aunt that she just rented out houses, and that's how she made a living. And I was always kind of attracted to that idea. And I thought, like, that's how I'll accumulate wealth. I'll just buy a new house every few years, and then I'll rent it out.
Good idea, especially in Austin.
Great idea, especially in Austin. Had I been 5% more capable, I probably could have had a great career at it. I sucked very quickly. I couldn't get anybody to rent the first house. I ended up hiring a property manager. Big mistake, hired the wrong property manager. Won't want to get into that, but he fucking sucked. Anyway, he eventually rented a house to a lady. It's cool. And then I would just sometimes get rent, and I'd have to, like, I wouldn't get rent for 2 months, and I'd have to call the property manager, and he'd be like, I'm working on it. It was just a nightmare. So, but in that home, it was like a garden home community that had a pool that they shared, so there were HOA fees. The HOA fees were $200 a year. Every December, I would get a bill for $200, and I would mail it off to them. So when I moved, for whatever reason, the property management company didn't get my forwarding address. Maybe I didn't give it to them. I think I did. Or for whatever reason, it got lost in the mail, but I never got that bill, that $200 bill. And I just didn't think about it because who thinks about a $200 bill they get once a year, right? And I think I sold the house like in April or something. Or I moved in like April or May. So it was.
Just for clarification, you didn't sell the house. You moved.
I moved to the new house. Sorry. And so I was going through this process where I was renting it out to this guy. And then I would say that went for like maybe a year and some change. And then I didn't receive any rent for like 3 weeks in a row. And so
3 months in a row.
3 months in a row, sorry. And I went to talk to the property manager, and I'm like, what is going on? He goes, I meant to call you. I went over, and I talked to the lady to say, hey, you need to pay your rent. And she said, oh, I paid it to the new owner. And I go, what's that mean? And she goes, yeah, somebody else, this guy came by, he told me he owns the house now, and so I paid it to him. And so I figured you sold the house. And I was like, when did this happen? And he's like, oh, I talked to her like a month ago. And I'm like, A, you didn't tell me this. I had to find you to find this out. And B, what the fuck are you talking about? He goes, yeah, I thought it was strange. So I had to go see the lady, and I had to get the number of the guy who she told me owned the house. And I had to call this guy, and he was waiting for my call. But I will say this, really nice guy. He was waiting for my call, and he goes, yeah, I've been waiting for you to call. Here's what happened. You didn't pay your homeowners association dues for 2 years in a row. According to Texas law, if all they have to do is they post the notice at
the county Travis County appraisal
tax
district or
assessor's
something.
office or whatever, tax assessor's office. He goes, they put it on a wall on a board there, and then if it sits there for 6 months and nobody comes in to dispute it, then your house goes up to auction. Whoa. And so I bought your house, and now I own your house. And I go, are you fucking serious? What do I do? And he goes, well, because I'm a good guy, there's this this process called reclamation. You have 6 months to get your house back. I'm required to sell it back to you. Mm-hmm. You just have to pay my legal fees and your legal fees. So then I had to go through a process where I had to hire a lawyer, and I had to buy my house from this guy. It cost me $8,000. I had to sell my car because I didn't have $8,000 on me at the time. So I had to sell a car to get $8,000 to buy my house back, because I didn't pay $400 in HOA dues. And nobody told me. All they did was post a notice at a building I've never seen before.
Right. Like, obviously, they're not going to go through the effort.
What? Right. Yeah. And that is state law. And it's a big deal. It happens to a lot of soldiers
who
go on deployment.
Geoff has a history, or had a history, with this HOA. It's not like just out of nowhere this happened. Didn't you threaten to murder the HOA president?
So yes. So these houses I had were built like in the 80s. And so there was a notice that came through. The HOA sent it out to everybody in the house and said, hey, look, everybody, your paint looks like shit. Your houses are falling, the siding's falling off your houses. Everybody should consider replacing their siding. Everybody should consider replacing audio texture. Everybody should consider replacing their siding and painting their houses. And I said, you know what? I'll do that. Fuck it. I got a little bit of money. Our RT was just cranking up. I had a little bit of spending money for the first time ever. I wanted to invest in my home. So I got like Hardywood. I remember it was like $10,000 to do my whole house, or $12,000 to do my whole house. And I was very excited about it. And then I was like, well, I want to paint it. It's Austin. I wanted to paint it like a vibrant color. Mm-hmm. Like all the houses you see in Travis Heights and Hyde Park. And so you had to submit your paint colors. And I submitted a bunch of paint colors, and they rejected them. And I submitted a bunch more, and they rejected them. And the third one, they just get more and more boring. I submitted this next batch of like 4 at a time, and they just picked one and said, you can paint your house this color. So I said, are you sure? And they're like, absolutely, we approve. So then I went and I hired a painter, and I got my house painted that color. A month after I got my house painted that color, I got a notice in the mail from the HOA that said, your house color is unacceptable. We're getting complaints. You need to repaint it. And so I walked over to the president of the HOA, who lived 5 houses down, knocked on his door. I will say his name. He opened up his door, and he goes, hey, can I help you? And I go, yeah, I got what's going on with this? And he goes, oh, yeah, we've been getting complaints. And I go, name me one complaint. And he goes, we got a call. A lady drove by. Some person drove by the street and said that the house was so offensive, the color was so offensive, she looked up the HOA and called the complaint.
Wow.
And I go, you just made that up.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, no. And I go, you absolutely, you're telling me that my house's green color that you approved is so offensive, a stranger just driving through Austin on a fucking Saturday sees it and goes, I'm going to look up who the HOA is, if there even is one, at this neighborhood to complain. I was like,
as an unbiased third party, I do want to back up Geoff's claim. It was a boring, bland color.
Yeah.
There was nothing offensive about it.
No, it was just a fucking bog standard, like fucking pale green. And I go, so that's a lie. You're fucking lying to me. And he's like, and he gets all stammery. And I go, and plus, like, here's the notice where you told me this was okay. He goes, yeah, we think it's a different shade, so you're going to need to repaint it. And I go, no, I'm not going to repaint it. And he goes, well, you have to. And I said, here, how about this? Step out of your house. Come stand in the front yard with me right now, and I'm going to beat you to death. I'm going to beat you to death right now. I'm going to kill you. And he goes, excuse me? I go, come outside so I can kick the shit out of you. And I am not a violent person. I'm a pacifist.
Not at all.
I abhor violence. It takes somebody, I don't know, making you spend $15,000 to paint a house color to then tell you, to gaslight you about it a month later to make me angry. And he goes, are you serious? And I go, step in your yard right now. I'm gonna take this out on you. And he ran inside, shut his door, locked it, and then I never saw them again. And then the paint color thing never came up again. 6 months later, I moved, and then they got their revenge with the HOA thing later.
That's insane.
Insane.
I do want to comment on Responsible Geoff. We'll call him Responsible Geoff. Back, just to bring this back to me, when I moved back in with Geoff, in the early days of Rooster Teeth, like we said, I was living with him because I didn't want to have to pay rent, and I was trying to live as cheaply as possible. So I bought a very cheap vehicle. I went to a small car dealership off Lamar, and I bought a 1964 Chevy pickup. And I thought, well, this is a cheap car, and it's like simple, so I'll just buy like the book on how to fix it, and if it breaks, I can work on it and I can fix it. And I think me buying that old car kindled a desire in Geoff to also have an old vehicle.
Yes.
So Geoff wanted an old Bronco, and after looking for 12 hours, he couldn't find one, so he bought an old truck like me.
No, that's accurate. That is absolutely accurate. I was dead set on a Grand Wagoneer or a Bronco, still am. Looked for half a day and bought the next closest thing I could find, which was a C10.
His was a 1967. I thought yours was a 65.
I think it was 67 C10 pickup, step side.
Mine was a 64. I had tons of problems with my truck. It was constantly breaking down. I was constantly fixing it, constantly taking it to a mechanic who knew more than me to do the stuff I couldn't do, and just learning how to fix it. Geoff's truck was for the most part more reliable. It eventually did reach a point though where the engine needed to be replaced. I don't remember what happened to cause it, but the engine in his truck died. So he took it to the shop and paid for a brand new engine. They put like a refurbished, right? Like they taken it. It's not like they pulled it out of a box brand new. It's like they take this engine, they tune it up, fix it, and they put it in his truck. Geoff got this new engine in his truck, took the truck home, parked it in his driveway, and then didn't drive it for 2 years.
What?
It sat there.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Every bit of fluid in that vehicle, just because of gravity, flowed to the bottom. The tires all rotted, and the engine never worked again. He had a new engine put in that truck, drove it home, and that was the extent of the work that new engine did. Because after that, all the oil had gone bad and seeped out of it, and it never
a handful of times.
It never turned on again.
It did. Here's the deal. What I didn't consider was having a 1960s pale blue heat trap with no air conditioning. And so after my first summer driving around in Austin with it, I was like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die on the road from heat stroke. And so I parked it until I had to sell it a couple years later. I got a good deal on it.
I loved that truck that I had, that 1964 Chevy. I learned so much. I changed the fuel pump out in the street in front of your house. Yeah. Remember that? But like you said, it had no air conditioning. So everywhere I went, I think that year, if I remember right, 1964 was the first year you could buy air conditioning as an option on that truck, and it wasn't like it was built into the vehicle. It was like a portable air conditioner that you installed under the dash and just kind of sat there. Brutal. So everywhere I went, I had to drive with the windows down. Homeless dudes were always trying to get in the back. I don't know if you remember that. You'd stop at a stop sign or stop at a red light, and there'd be some dude always trying to get in the back, and you'd always have to be screaming at them get the fuck out of my truck.
Wait, what do you mean trying to get in the back?
They throw their bag in to the bed of the truck, and then just start climbing
What?
in. Yeah. I have no idea why. Just something about at that time, something about driving a 1960 Chevy pickup in Austin meant any dude at the corner could get in your bed, and you'd have to yell at them and scream at them to get the fuck out of your truck.
I think that's old remnants of older Austin, like the Austin that Gus and I didn't experience.
Yeah, it would be funny if it happened once or twice, but it was any time I stopped that truck and there was a dude standing at the corner, he would try to get in.
You know what else was I feel was super, super commonplace right when I moved here, right when we started hanging out, that died very quickly within a year or 2 years? Is I remember, and I'm not saying we ever did this, but I would say that everybody I know did this. And if you would stop at a stoplight, you'd see it constantly. People used to drink beers and drive in Austin constantly, just driving around with a Bud Light bottle. And I feel like that was super commonplace. And then I remember people bitching that cops were starting to crack down on it. And I'm like, yeah.
I felt like that, honestly, was the influence of the smaller towns to the southeast. That was the influence of Highway 71.
Yeah.
I felt like you saw that a lot driving on Highway 71 southeast of here, out towards Columbus. If you pass through LaGrange, Smithville, all those small towns, that was a lot more common out there. So you would see that move over here into Austin.
Yeah.
Now you just see dudes ripping huge hits off of vapes all the time and driving.
That's true.
But that sorry, I got to keep talking about this truck. I'm reminiscing about it now.
That's what we're here for.
That truck got 8 miles to the gallon. It was brutal. It had 8 miles to the gallon, no air conditioner, but it was loud and fast. Yeah, it had the lap belt.
Mine didn't have seatbelts.
Mine did have a lap belt. It was made in that time where seatbelts were an option, and if you had the vehicle delivered and it still didn't have seatbelts, you did not have to retroactively put them in.
Yeah.
Mine was delivered from the factory with lap belts, so I had to use lap belts. But it didn't matter. If you got into a wreck in that thing, you were dead.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I remember looking at that steering wheel so often and be like, yeah, if I'm in a wreck, this thing's just like going straight through my chest. Like, this is not safe at all.
So you're talking about 8 miles to the gallon in a truck that size. How big was that tank, and how much was gas?
The tank, if I remember right, was about 15 gallons. At that time, gas was probably like $1.10, maybe $1.20. It was not expensive. Yeah.
What is the cheapest you remember gas being in your life?
I remember when I moved to, the cheapest I remember in my life would have been like a little kid in Eagle Pass. I remember seeing it for like 45 cents.
Yeah, I remember seeing it for about 60 cents.
When I moved to Austin in '98, I lived off of Riverside, and there was a gas station. It was a Diamond Shamrock off of Old Torf I would go to all the time. It was across from where Wan Fu was.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that little area. And the gas there was always 98 cents a gallon. And I remember it was either in 99 or 2000 when it finally went to like 101. I was like, oh, that's it. That's bullshit. I have to pay more than $1 a gallon now. Now, what the national average is like $4.40. It just hit $4 a gallon here in Austin.
Yep.
It's so funny. You just mentioned Wan Fu. That's a place I haven't thought about in many, many years.
It was this Chinese restaurant off of Old Torf. I don't remember what the cross street there is. Is it Montopolis or Wickersham?
It might be Wickersham. It might
yeah.
be before Montopolis.
Yeah, that's it was a Chinese restaurant, and I remember when I moved here in 1998, I was like driving around the neighborhood because I was trying to like get a feel for everything that was in the area, and I drove by Wan Fu, and they had a big banner out front, and the banner said, "We got our liquor license back," and I was like, that's my kind of place.
They were always open. Like you go there at 1 a.m. and you could eat at Wan Fu for some reason.
There was like a 24-hour Chinese place. I remember once we were hanging out at my apartment at the Metropolis. I don't know if you remember this. And Texas has weird laws where like you can't buy liquor after 9 or you can't buy liquor on Sunday. There's all these weird loopholes. And I think we were hanging out like at 3 a.m. playing video games, and we wanted beer, but we couldn't buy beer anywhere. So we told my roommate, we're like, hey, go to Wan Fu and see if they'll sell you a 6-pack. Because I remembered the "we got our liquor license back" sign, and I thought, these dudes play ball.
Yeah.
And my roommate didn't really have any, like, he wouldn't get embarrassed by shit. So I was like, just go down there, see if they'll sell you a 6-pack.
Was this Frank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He came back with a 6-pack.
Awesome.
He showed up like at 3 a.m. He went to Wan Fu like at 3 a.m, bought a 6-pack of beer, and brought it back to our apartment.
That place, because, we were poor tech support kids, so it was like $6, kind of like mountains of food restaurant. And the thing I remember most about that place is it felt damp.
It was humid in that restaurant.
And the floor was wet.
Yeah.
It was carpet. It was a carpet, and the carpet was always soggy. But it was cheap.
That place was prolific, actually. Like, that was Wan Fu over there. They had Wan Fu 2 for a long time on Barton Springs Road. Over there, like where
used to be a surfboard shop.
Yeah, it's like next to that where Chewy's is. Like right next to it. It was like this 50s style diner building, and Wan Fu 2 was in there. And they also had a food truck for a while off of Duval. I don't know if you know that. Like,
I didn't know that.
Like over in Hyde Park. It was Wan Fu 3, and then they closed the food truck and moved over there off of Airport in Guadalupe. It's a Chinese restaurant now, China Family. That was Wan Fu 3 for a while.
Really? I didn't know that.
And then Wan Fu 1 and 2 closed, and Wan Fu 3 was the only one that was open for a long time. Then they raised her rent or whatever. It became a Korean restaurant. And I believe the woman who ran Wan Fu at the time ended up going to like off of Mopac and Palmer, like out behind the Fries. And she moved Wan Fu over there. I don't know if it's still there anymore. That's so far. I never go out there.
Fries. Wow, I haven't been that far up in a long time. Jeez. Yeah, well, I was impressed because that building on Barton Springs where they put Wan Fu 2 was like one of those cursed locations where it's everything for 6 months, and then it's like you look at it and you're like, well, enjoy the 3 months of being in business because you'll be gone soon. And then Wan Fu 2 managed to stick around for a while.
They were there for a while, yeah.
I think that building's gone now.
Yeah, that building's totally gone.
I
think that's where there's like little food trucks now. That's where that accident was a couple months ago.
Oh, somebody hit Hollum though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I heard about that.
That's where Wanfu 2 building used to be.
Yeah.
It's funny that now it's like there's just no building. There's just food truck. Like having food trucks there is more profitable than having a building and a business.
We still haven't really we could probably do episodes on ugly internet and drunk gamers.
Oh, we still haven't talked
Just
about
covering
those. God, the death threats.
The death threats. Yeah, our introduction to internet. Well, we haven't even we haven't talked about. We haven't even talked about the handshake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and how this all started.
Yep. You would say Mueller and not Miller because it's definitely not Miller because that's not right at all. Like that's a way to tell when someone doesn't actually live in Austin is when they say the wrong name for something because it's confusing. I get it.
Do you know what that reminds me of? Fuck, we're getting off on tangents already. There was stuff I wanted to talk about, but do you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of one time you and I were eating at Baby A's on Riverside.
Yeah.
This is how long ago this was. Pre-Rooster Teeth, I'm assuming, if it's Baby A's on Riverside. So you and I are working tech support, eating $6 enchiladas, and
expensive. It was probably $4.25 if I'm being honest.
I will never forget this. I had been in Austin for a while. You had been, obviously, you were born here. And we're drinking Lone Stars waiting for our food to come.
Yeah.
And some guy at a table next to us taps us on the shoulder and says, "Hey, I just want to let y'all know, I can tell y'all aren't from around here, but if you want to blend in, nobody in Austin drinks Lone Star." And I go, "I've lived here for like 8 years." And you go, "I was born here." And he goes, "Huh?" And I go, "It's all we can afford." And he goes, "Oh, sorry." And he just he moved away. Yeah, he was so shocked to find out that we were we were local.
What's funny to me is that I guess that may have been true at one point, but then Lone Star made a hipster revival renaissance, and then it came back, and then it was definitely true, which is weird because I felt like there was a similar thing. Did we talk about this? I think we kind of came adjacent to a conversation like this in an earlier episode, but I don't think we ever really dug into it. But craft beer and breweries in Austin and Texas, I guess, seemed like it wasn't a thing forever. Then it became a huge thing because for a while, the independent beer you wanted to drink was Shiner, and that was it. It was you either were to drink Budweiser or one of the big ones or Shiner. And then those were your options.
I remember it being the latter being like this. If you were exceptionally broke but wanted to be Texas-y, you drank Pearl Light.
Oh God,
Pearl.
yeah.
And then if you were average Joe day, you drink Lone Star because it had a puzzle on it too, which was always fun. Erebus, yeah. And then if you were feeling fancy, Shiner Bock.
Yes.
And that was it. Yep. You're right. It was now it's there's 18,000 different beers about Texas.
I don't know what changed.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Can I just say that the Lone Star under the cap puzzles aren't there anymore?
Yeah,
they're gone. They're gone.
I don't know. Cost cutting? How much does it take to print
I don't know.
A puzzle?
It was a major loss. That's why I quit drinking. Speaking, we're talking about being a Thunderbird, though, and I was going to ask you a question.
Yeah. I'm here to answer questions.
Do you remember, this wasn't always a Thunderbird, but it has always been a coffee shop, or at least in this iteration. I think it was a house for a while. But do you remember what the original coffee shop was before Thunderbird?
I don't think I came to Thunderbird before 2008, 2009, so it's always been Thunderbird to me.
So it was originally Clementine.
I don't remember that.
It was a coffee shop called Clementine. It opened up. It was, I would say, early 2000s, right around the time this area started to really pick up. And then it was Clementine for a few years, and I think they sold it to the Thunderbird people. But the original Thunderbird, to my knowledge, is that one that is Bird Biscuit now, over on Koenig.
Yeah.
And then this was their satellite Thunderbird. And now I think this is the only one.
Yeah, the other one closed.
There may be another Thunderbird around town that I'm not aware of. There probably is, but yeah, to my knowledge, that was the original. This was the expansion, and then they closed the original.
But the reason I bring up Hoover's and Zach is I feel like that's a good way to talk about some of the earlier websites that we made.
Dude, I'm so glad to hear you say
Rooster
that.
Teeth, yeah. One of the things that made us connect early on when we were working at the call center is we kind of touched on this a couple episodes ago about how you had that zine. I knew how to make web servers and kind of knew a little bit about HTML and stuff. And we wanted to make websites. I think I had a domain. Back then, you could only register domains with one company. Mm-hmm. It was $70 a year to register a domain with Internic. And I had a domain, showmethemonkey.com. I don't know if you remember that.
Not only do I remember it, I remember a certain day being one of the most exciting days of my life.
Yeah.
Revolving around that.
It was just a simple flash animation of a monkey sitting in a tree eating a banana.
I believe your girlfriend at the time
My girlfriend at the time made it. And I thought it was really funny. I don't know. So I bought the domain, put it up, and it was on our shared company server at the call center. So every now and then, Bernie and Geoff would quote unquote hack it, since we all had access to the server, and they would like put a pirate hat on the monkey or an eye patch or something.
It was all very PG hacking.
Yeah, it was all I don't know, very, very, I don't know, yeah, PG. And so anyway, I had this domain, and then that movie was Brendan Fraser, right?
Monkey Bone.
Monkey Bone came out, and in the trailer, he like looks straight in the camera and shouts, "Show me the monkey!" And I was like, "That's my website."
I remember looking at Gus and going, "We're gonna be rich." This is how old the internet. This is how long ago it was.
And yeah, it was like, "Oh my god, they said our website." Like that we own that. There was nothing. Of course not. Who the hell watches the trailer for Monkey Bone and is like, "Oh, show me the monkey."
Run to the web counter and watch nothing happen.
But I think that was like the start of like, hey, maybe we can collaborate and do stuff together on the internet. And our first idea for a website that we collaborated on was called Ugly Internet.
Before you get to Ugly Internet,
okay,
should we talk about one of the more embarrassing things we've ever done together? It's completely related to this.
Oh God, I'm terrified.
Gus and I had a conversation. We talked about this. Like, I love internet stuff. You love internet stuff. Let's make websites. I'm making zines. You're making monkeys. Like what are we gonna do? We had this we were both like just balls of creative energy, and we didn't know how to focus it. But we knew we wanted to focus on the internet. And so I remember one day we made a pact. And we shook hands and looked each other in the eye and said, "Let's be famous on the internet together." And we shook hands.
We made it happen.
And God damn it, we did it.
So,
Ugly Internet.
Yeah, I never really. I'm going to backtrack a little bit too. I never really talked about like dropping out of college and moving from Houston to Austin. I just want to touch on that very briefly before we get into the internet thing. I started college in the fall of '96 at Rice in Houston.
Full scholarship, eh?
Yeah, I had grants and like
really good student.
Every semester when everyone would go to like the registrar's office to pay their tuition, I would go get in line to get a check from the university. Mm-hmm. Anyway,
how many of those semesters did you get to do?
Two.
That?
I did 2 of them.
That's it.
Because
every.
At the time, like I had started doing web stuff in '94 when like the first version of Netscape Navigator, or actually I used NCSA Mosaic, and then which became Netscape Navigator. And, 96, 97, I was sitting there, we had Ethernet in the college, and I was sitting there with this fast internet for the first time in my life. And I was like, I could stay here. I was not a great student. So I was free for the first time in my life, and I was just playing video games and fucking off all the time. But I thought I could sit here and like really apply myself and finish and get a degree. But by the time I finished in the year 2000, the internet, like the early days of the internet, are going to be gone. Mm-hmm. Like I need to quit college and I need to jump on this now.
Strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't have money or anything. I couldn't move to California where everyone was, all the Silicon Valley stuff was happening. I was like, I'm just going to move to Austin.
Move to Silicon Hills, as they used to call it.
It's just up the road. And like we talked about before, Austin's cheap to live in, relatively. Like, I'm just going to move up there. I'm sure there's other people I can find who also want to do stuff on the internet, and we can make this happen. Mm-hmm. So I moved up, started working at the call center, and it wasn't a glamorous job, but at least it was like kind of in tech, and you could meet people who were tech-minded. Mm-hmm. So it was great for that. Anyway, so we eventually Show Me the Monkey. We get to the point where we decide we're going to make a website together, and we decide we're going to make uglyinternet.com. And it's a website, and again, remember some of the other stories we told. We were assholes. It's a website where we decided, like everyone had at the time like awards on their websites, like the beautiful whatever website award, and the web rings were a thing.
Oh, it was so obnoxious. You would go to a website and it would be 40% little banners and like tchotchkes at the bottom displaying some bullshit award that nobody had ever heard of that was invented just to give to the probably was invented by the website to give themselves the award to look legitimate because the internet was, we talk about it being the Wild West. It really was. There was no legitimacy to it.
Yeah.
Right?
No, like corporations had. I mean, I guess they had websites where you could maybe look at their stuff.
Sorta.
But yeah, it was very like it was still at the point where George Lucas was suing anybody who put Star Wars images on their website.
Yeah.
It was a very, very different place. So we decided we were going to make a website where we were going to rate other people's websites and tell them how bad they were and send them ugly awards. And then we took it a step further. I still am a real big nerd. I was even more of a big nerd back then. I would petition the American Registry of Internet Numbers to revoke their IP address and be like, because it was like, we're running out of IP addresses. This website is wasting one that another website could be using. And I'd send letters trying to get websites removed from the internet for being too ugly. and then we would post them on our website on Ugly Internet.
We thought we were doing a public service. And we also thought that it was very clever and very funny and that everyone would be in on the joke.
Right. They weren't.
They were
not at all.
We're trying to get their IP revoked. We thought everyone would be in on it.
Aaron's not
listen,
going to give a fuck. They're not going to revoke.
I'm learning something about and I'm learning that Gen Xers just had a different view, like a different breed. Yeah. and they got time passed us by very quickly.
Yeah.
Over the last few years.
So Ugly Internet, shockingly, was the source of our first death threat.
Yeah.
You may be be astounded to hear. I don't know if we ever figured out who exactly was behind it.
We narrowed it down to the building.
Yeah, but this person said they were going to kill us, sent us photos of where we lived.
Sent me pictures of my truck.
Oh my God.
And said, I know I can get to you.
Yeah, this is like before Google Maps and stuff like that.
They drove to our street and took pictures of our house. We were living together.
So we figured out that and they would call us. The phone number was at the building where the Omni is downtown at 7th and
Trinity
Brazos?
or Brazos, yeah.
8th and Brazos, somewhere over there. So we went over there to try to find the person, air quotes. How are you going to find a person in a building? We just walked around the entire building, taking elevators up to every floor, trying to go into every door we could.
What was the building at the time?
Because the Omni is in
complex.
there, but there's also businesses and offices.
Huge building, dude.
It's just a guy in an office calling you and say you're going to die?
It's 30 stories.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so we just there were some floors we found out where there's private.
Yeah,
the door's open and someone just turns and looks at you what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
I mean, we did Ugly Internet for a year and a half, 2 years? Was it that long?
Yeah, probably about a year and a half. And do you remember what we did after that person? We laughed off the death threats. Then when they started sending pictures of our house, we got very, very scared.
Yeah.
But neither of us had the money to buy a gun, and I don't like guns. So we went to Play It Again Sports. By the Super Salad we used to eat at all the time
down
when we were
south.
Telenetwork. Yeah, at Lamar and Ben White.
Yeah.
And I bought a metal baseball bat. And then we just kept it in my car.
Do you remember? Okay, so I'm going to make a callback here. Do you remember? I guess I can tell this story. Robert used to always carry a baseball bat in his trunk. And do you remember what he would do with, his process with the baseball bat?
I don't, but let me tie this together real fast, saying in previous episodes we talked about Robert as being a guy who showed up at our house with a suitcase full of beer and a fifth of whiskey.
Jack Daniels. He kept a baseball bat in his trunk, but he said that if you ever got pulled over and a cop found just a bat in your trunk, they would know you were up to no good. So he kept a bag with a baseball glove, some baseballs, and a little bit of catcher's equipment, and be if they find a bat and other baseball equipment, then you can just say you're going to go play baseball. So they can't do anything about you having a weapon.
He's not wrong.
So that's where we got the idea to go down to Play It Again Sports and buy baseball bats. And we also bought
gloves.
those bags and gloves and some other things so we could keep it in our trunks.
I forgot about that part. You're right. You're absolutely right.
You didn't have enough money for a gun, but you had enough money to play baseball.
But this was
Play It Again Sports, man. It was an $8 bat.
Yeah, it was secondhand sporting goods. But you don't have to buy an expensive bat. You just have to buy a bat. Yeah, we've that was pretty much the end of Ugly Internet. I don't think we ever I don't think we ever said, let's end this or let's stop doing this. It was just let's find a new project.
It just stopped being fun overnight.
Yeah.
But that was interesting because that was our very first attempt together at creating something. I would call it successful in that at its height, it was getting probably 200 views a day, maybe 300.
I think it was about 300.
Which to us seemed like 300 strangers going to our website every day to learn about bad websites.
People would email us and send us pictures and stuff or suggestions for websites to review.
And we met our very first online friend.
Yeah.
Skylock.
Yep.
Who followed us to Drunk Gamers. I think he may have even written for Drunk Gamers for a little while.
Yeah, he did for a little while. Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever made the transition to Rooster Teeth, but
in the early days, yeah.
Let me tell you a funny story about this guy. I think it's okay to tell this story. His online moniker was Skylock. It was a Star Wars reference, I believe. Really cool dude. He was in California. I
remember the city. I can tell you. I don't know if we want to say it.
Probably not. It's fine.
Okay. He was in California.
I don't know.
I'll
That's
tell you
important.
that. Yeah.
And he became like an online friend that we would talk to every day, and that we developed a great rapport with. And I remember feeling like, wow, this is the power of the internet. Here's this dude that we have so many similarities with, this kinship with, and who we've never met, who lives in California. But he had a great story one night where he went out drinking with some friends, and he was in a parking lot, I think of his apartment complex, and he went to pull his keys out of his pocket, and he dropped them on the ground because he was drunk, right? And he went down to pick up his keys, and they fell on a grate, just like a metal grate. And when he picked up his keys and pulled back, he felt a weird pop, and he looked, and his pinky finger was gone.
Like right out of the knuckle.
He had somehow got it into the grate, and when he jerked up, drunk, not paying attention, he ripped his own pinky finger off.
Yeah. We saw, you sent
And
us
I
photos.
think he couldn't get it back, could he? Because it went in the grate, or did he get it back?
I think he got most of it back. I think he didn't get the last knuckle.
Yeah.
I think the last knuckle was removed when they reattached the pinky.
Can you imagine? Just bending down to pick something up, and you just suddenly your finger's gone? Ugh. He said he was so drunk it didn't hurt at the time. He was just more shocked than anything.
Yeah.
But
I mean, your body probably just goes, even if you weren't drunk, immediately into shock.
immediately.
I didn't feel shit. Just counting to 9.
You think you'll make it to the end with all your fingers and toes?
I hope so.
Man, me too.
I need them.
Safeguard them for like 46, almost 47 years. I would hate to lose one now.
Yeah, you're most of the way there.
Yeah, that's true.
Even pinky toes, you feel like you made it, like your pinky toes aren't too hammered or anything? Like
No, I got good pinky toes.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Mine are
I mean,
kinda-
the nail fell off for a while that time in the other podcast, but
Great. Great pinky
think her back.
toes.
Think her back.
But yeah, that was it was really, I think it was very proof of concept for what we wanted to do. And mind you, this was, I want to say 99, 2000 maybe, 2001, somewhere in that area.
We were hooked.
No, this was early. This would have been 99.
Yeah. This
because
would have been
right after that, we were like, all right, Ugly Internet, we're going to shelve that. We need to come up with a new concept. And we loved drinking and playing video games. We're like, all right, well, let's make our new website will be Drunk Gamers. It'll be just, we want to get video game companies to send us free video games so that we can review them for our video game review site, Drunk Gamers.
where we just get hammered and then talk about video games.
This is the website where we would do the garage sale stories for that we talked about in a previous episode.
This was really where we found a rhythm.
Yes.
Like, we were kind of flailing in a direction with Ugly Internet, and clearly there wasn't, I think even we realized there was only so far you could take that joke, and we had taken it
Too far.
Far enough, yeah. And so Drunk Gamers allowed us a much bigger sandbox to play in.
Yeah.
And do you remember the first game we played?
The first
We
game,
got drunk. It was me, you, and Frank. We got drunk at our house, and we played Onimusha.
Oh,
that was
that's
the very
right.
first thing we ever did
That's
for
right.
Drunk Gamers.
It's a PS2 game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We drank sake because it was
Oh yeah,
a Japanese
God,
game.
I did not. We bought
And-
sake at Cost Plus.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was World Market.
Yeah, World Market.
Like, none of us knew anything about sake, so we just went to World Market because we knew it was there, and we bought like $7 sake, and it was
no good. I got
horrendous.
so drunk. I remember laying on that couch just hating
Yeah.
everything about the world. But it allowed us to learn about building online personas, and we were using our names, I guess. I was always Gus, but it allowed us to, like, each of us picked a console, and we're like, this is my thing. Even though in real life I don't give a fuck, I just want to play video games,
Yeah.
right? It was like, I'm gonna be like the pro PS2 guy, the pro Xbox guy, the pro Dreamcast guy, whatever, right? And just like really try to write to a style and develop a persona in that sphere, because video people who play video games are very territorial about consoles and stuff.
And we were kind of shooting for like Big Brother Mag a little bit, like the video game version of Big Brother Mag, at least initially.
I do want to point something out. I think that we did that was very revolutionary when it came to Drunk Gamers. We live streamed playing video games on the internet in the year 2000.
Wow.
I had like a web, like an IP based camera that you could stream to the web. And we were like, we're going to do a stunt. We're going to stream video games for 24 hours, and we're going to stream it to Drunk Gamers. And we tried to get like people to write about it, and yeah, we did. We set up, and it was at my apartment over there by Barton Creek Mall.
Yeah.
We set up, and we stayed up for 24 hours playing video games, just streaming it to the Drunk Gamers website.
Started on after work on a Friday night at like 6 p.m. I remember.
How do you have the upload speed for
We
anything
didn't.
like that?
No, it was terrible. It was really choppy. So the IP camera would upload to our website, but it was, if any decent amount of people started watching it, it would just like slow down and throttle to where it was like an image a second or an image every 2 seconds. So it was a kind of very slideshowy. We definitely didn't have the bandwidth for it, but it was like an early attempt at trying to live stream a video game to the internet.
Do you remember? I watched we talked about Dan. We talked about the guy who hired himself at Rooster Teeth, who played Donut in Red vs. Blue, who's to this day my favorite character. His work in Red vs. Blue is my favorite by far. I remember I saw his online persona and fandom and love die in one moment. Oh no! Dan's one of the funniest people I've ever met. One of the most naturally funny people I've ever met. Just like one of those people you sit down and you just laugh for 30 straight minutes. You don't even realize it. Genuinely talented in that way. And he was making some jokes. We were playing. Somebody said, "Hey, why don't you play Dreamcast games?" And Dan was there with us, and he said, "We gave up on Dreamcast around the same time Sega did."
Oh, we lost interest.
We lost interest in Sega around the same time, or Dreamcast around the same time Sega did, which was a funny burn, right? Except the guy on the other end texted, "I bet if Sega made cheeseburgers, you wouldn't have lost interest." And that ended Dan. That moment, he was like, "I
the
fucking
whole
hate the
demeanor
internet."
just like
it just was over.
It was like a cloud.
And I don't think it ever
room.
changed. Like I think it cemented in him.
People on the internet can be funny and ruthless, and I mean, we learned that definitely very early on. Yeah, but I think if I remember right, I want to say that Penny Arcade even made a blog post about the fact that we were going to be doing this 24-hour streaming thing when we did it.
Yeah.
Way back when in the year 2000, before we'd met any of those guys. We just tried to get, because we all read Penny Arcade, and we were just trying to get like other people in the video game sphere to write about us and to help promote us so we could get our website be bigger.
What I would do is we would every day, I think we would publish, I don't know, like 4 days a week or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Publish articles or stories or bits, whether it's the drunk sailing or we had like an advice column called Ask Flexo or the video game reviews.
Yeah.
And every story we posted, I would then email. I had a list that I had compiled, and I learned this from punk zines, right? Mm-hmm. You like create a punk zine, and then you send a letter to 50 record labels asking for free records and asking for access to interview bands and shit. And then 10 get back to you, and then those 10 become the basis of your zine. So I did the same thing with online websites. So I would just cold email like Blues News.
Oh, yeah.
And
Tom's Hardware, maybe?
Tom's Hardware and Daily Radar.
Maybe
Slashdot and Penny Arcade and Happy Puppy and like all these different gaming news sites, and just say like, "Hey, just let you know, Drunk Gamers published a new story." And Penny Arcade was one of the few groups that when I did that, they would mention us.
Yeah.
Very kindly, like Gabe and Tycho.
Yeah.
And we fell in love with them early on because they were the first bit of support we ever had from a peer.
Yeah.
And I guess I use the word peer loosely because they were infinitely bigger than us.
Oh, God, they were, massive.
But when we started it, I think I even forget, Tycho gave us a phrase, like serving up frothy...
Wrath on Tap.
Wrath on Tap. That was what it was called. Yeah.
That's how I still have my ugly internet shirt.
That says Wrath on Tap.
Oh, no, what's it, Drunk Gamers? It's an ugly internet?
I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
I think it's... Oh, man, I don't remember. I still have that old shirt. I need to find it. Oh, I know where it is. I need to look at it, I guess. I remember what it says.
But I will say, like... And I try to always remember that. They were very encouraging, very politely encouraging. And I have no idea how much that helped us. Mm-hmm. It's hard to quantify that, but it was probably a lot. You know what I mean? And so you just try to keep that in mind when other people are starting out.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for people like Penny Arcade, I don't know that we would have found the traction we needed to continue.
Because there was no social media. I mean, Google was still new at the time. Like, I remember using Google for the first time in 98, 99. Like there was, it's crazy to think now, like, these entrenched technologies and the way we use the web just didn't really exist, or like in the very infant stages at the time. God, I never lose my train of thought in any other podcast, other than that, which I guess makes sense. It's the Old Man podcast.
Well, it's a meandering podcast too. I've lost my train of thought like 6 times. I've been in like 6 different directions I wanted to go that I lost and I can't get back to.
Yeah. So Drunk Gamers, we know now, and we learned. It was a hard lesson to learn, but we learned it after a while. Is that no video game company wants to be associated with people who label themselves drunks,
or alcohol,
who deal, who consume alcohol like that. So it was a very hard sell, but we leveraged that website into being able to attend E3 because it was now we had credentials, we had a website, we did reviews. And E3 was a lot more strict back then about who could go in. You had to definitely prove you had credentials and you were legitimate. So we all attended E3 in 2001 for the first time.
Yeah, you and I went we went under the auspice that we were going to talk to video game developers about providing outsourced technical support
for the call center,
for our call center. So that way the call center paid. Bernie, he's the vice president of the call center. So Bernie, Gus, and I went... we really went for Drunk Gamers got us in the door, but we were going to try to drum up business for the call center.
Real quick clarification. I actually didn't work at the call center at this time.
Okay.
I had left and I worked at that other company downtown, so I had to pay my own way to go to E3 in LA.
Free trip for me.
Yeah. And that was eye-opening. I mean, that was a crazy year because the original Xbox was not out yet. So it was like Microsoft's grand unveiling of the Xbox. This was in May 2001. I think the Xbox came out in November. So it was like 6 months before the Xbox came out.
2 years before Rooster Teeth came out.
Yeah, we got to go and play all the Xbox launch titles. I was drunk on margaritas and I slipped on the convention floor and I looked down and the thing I had slipped on was a press pass. that had fallen off of someone's lanyard. So I instantly replaced my pass with the press pass. I don't know if you remember this, and got into the press only area at the Microsoft booth, and like to try to like get shit to write about for drunk gamers, and just try to like get content. But what's weird to me is this was the first time that the public got their hands on the video game Halo, and Bungie was there showing it off, and they had a webcam that would take images every now and then and upload it to their website. If you go through that archive, you'll find an image of us standing there playing Halo for the first time.
It was me, you, and Matt, I think, in the photo. Yeah.
Playing Halo for the first time. We were playing, if I remember, at Capture the Flag on Blood Gulch. Just staring at it, like, in amazement. And it's weird how influential that game became to us later on for, future projects that we haven't even touched on yet.
And we were excited about to even check out Halo. I don't know if you remember, because you guys had a longer history with Bungie than I did, for sure, with Marathon and stuff. But I was excited because we were all like jazzed about Oni.
Yeah.
Like Oni was going to be the most amazing video game, and these were the people that were making Oni.
Yeah.
And no
one remembers Oni.
I can't remember one thing about Oni.
It was a
lady.
Kanoko.
Kanoko.
Yeah. She was in that police force.
Yeah. But it is wild to think that like that video game Halo is in large part responsible for our career.
Yeah.
And there is footage of us playing it before it came
for the
out,
first
before we
time.
had any idea.
Yeah.
But our literally our first impressions.
And if you look at that image, I'm wearing a red Hawaiian shirt, and I was wearing that because there was another game coming out that I was excited about, State of Emergency. And one of the main characters wore that red Hawaiian shirt. I was like, oh man, I'm going to wear a red Hawaiian shirt to E3. It'll look just like the guy in State of Emergency.
You were bounding and you didn't even know it. Hadn't even been invented yet.
But we learned a lot, walking around and seeing how the industry actually works, and, going to a trade show, which was very difficult, impossible probably to get into, as a general public, trying to make contacts and learning how to interact with people in this industry we were trying to break into and learn more about. I remember we saw the Metal Gear Solid 2 trailer. Remember they were played at the top of the hour at the Konami booth on that giant screen? Just like, it was a crazy E3 to go to as a first one.
And I will say, we don't want to hammer the video game stuff too hard, but I will say we get a lot of, to this day, and we have for the last 19 years, a lot of emails and social media posts from people asking how we got our start, how to get a foothold in the industry. And I'm not saying this is how you do it. This is literally how we did it.
Right.
Cold emails to video game news sites, paying our own way or getting a company to pay our way to go to E3 just to see it, to understand it, to wrap our heads around it, to meet people. Like we were beating our head against a lot of walls trying to figure out.
I think we had a very strong fake it till you make it attitude, but not in like the phony taking in investment money kind of way, not like faking projections and, financial bullshit. It was very much like, we're just going to project an aura of success and we're going to act like we belong.
And it was easier back then because nobody understood the internet enough to tell us we weren't successful.
Right.
It was very easy. Very easy to fake it.
Right. It's like, oh, you had a website. Like, that was nuts.
That's 90% of the job right there.
Right.
Yeah.
That in itself was legitimacy. But yeah, so when people ask, like you said, nowadays how to do it, like, I have no idea. I couldn't tell you now. I could tell you how to do it 20, 25 years ago. Yeah. These days, man, good luck. Everyone's trying to do that. We were definitely fortunate to be early and, jumping on this. And to like what I was talking about earlier, if I had stayed in college till the year 2000, we wouldn't have been doing this.
Yeah.
We had a head start on trying to do all of this stuff and trying to get in front of it.
I probably would have continued making punk scenes. Like, it's something we don't talk about, but I continued doing the punk scene thing, even into Ugly Internet, and maybe even a little bit into Drunk Gamers. I was still running that independently on the side because it was free music for me. It was free albums and access to free concerts at emos. But then eventually I got burned out. But I also it was very clear which path was going somewhere and which wasn't. So I switched. I went all in on the RT thing. But who knows?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a recurring theme, right? It's like we weren't making a lot of money. We were trying to find hobbies that we could parlay into free stuff, whether it's free movies by reading the Chronicle, free music by doing a punk scene, free video games by doing Drunk Gamers. It was always like, if we're going to be doing this stuff for fun, let's try to focus it in a productive way where we get something out of it.
And we had the benefit, because we had no money, but we had the benefit of the EB Games 7-day return policy.
Oh, yeah. Funko Land is what we used to,
Funko Land,
we used to use, yeah.
And so we knew that we essentially had to buy one $60 game, and then we had free access to video games to review for the rest of our lives.
We knew those guys. I used to go to the Funko Land over there in Sunset Valley, which is a GameStop now by, God, it used to be CompUSA, whatever, it's Michael's now. And the guys who worked there, we knew all of the staff. And they knew, like, we were going to be constantly coming in.
Every 7 days.
Yeah, and swapping our game out, returning our game, and getting a different game. I got carded at that GameStop to buy when I bought Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Which was the first video game review we did on Drunk Gamers. I think we played Onimusha first, but I think Conker's might have been the first thing we released.
Yeah, man, I might have been like 22 when that game came out, and you had to be 17 to buy it, and I got carded to buy that video game, which is dumb as hell to me.
Oh man, I was gonna say, or I wanted to say, rather, I was driving around yesterday. I had like an hour to kill before I had to be at RT. And so I was just driving around East Old Torf. I almost bought a house on East Old Torf many years ago. Right?
The house that was falling.
Yeah, it failed inspection, which is why I didn't buy it. Had it passed inspection, I'd probably still be living there. But I wanted to go see if the house was still standing. And so I was driving over there. And in the process of going through East Old Torf, I drove by Wan Fu.
Oh,
and it's a dentist office now.
Is it?
It's a very nice dentist office, yeah. And it looks like, I mean, I can't say for sure, but from the outside, it looks like those floors are dry.
I would hope so.
Yeah. But 888 Vietnamese is still there.
I never liked that place.
I never liked it either.
Java Noodle was also right there.
Or Java Noodle, yeah.
Yeah, it's 888 and Java Noodle. Those places use too much, like, coconut curry, like coconut milk in their curries. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, so. I remember Ray, the guy we worked with, loved Java Noodle.
Ray and... We had a lot of people with similar names. Ray and J. Ray both loved that place.
Yeah.
Dude, it was the 90s, don't ask. Yeah, anytime we wanted to go to lunch and they wanted to go there, I was like, nah, never mind. I'm just going to go to Gaddy's or something.
You talked about just kind of driving around, like killing time or whatever. Is that something you do a lot? Like,
I do, yeah.
Yeah? Gus, do you do anything like that?
Sometimes if I'm bored on the weekend, I might drive around a bit, especially down like that area you're talking about, the old stomping grounds.
I try to do a Sunday drive every Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's the day for it.
Yeah. Well, it's in the name.
Statistics show, yeah.
So it's just something that, like, it's such an antiquated thing in American history, Sunday driving. But it was something my family always did, so I still to this day try to do it in some fashion.
It's just going out for a drive on a Sunday?
Yeah.
Huh.
Checking in on stuff. It's easy in Austin because the entire city has been under construction for the last 15 years. So every Sunday it's a different city.
So I remember when I first moved to Austin, I always remember this. Well, I'm going to remember this date forever now because it has taken on new meaning. But it was January 6th, 1998.
Wow.
And I moved into an apartment complex off of Riverside and Royal Crest. And like I moved in with a friend of mine, Joe. He lived in a studio, and he very kindly let me sleep on his floor.
He's the one who you stole the job at Telenetwork from. We talked about, yeah.
And the first night I was there, like I moved up, I had like a shitty little truck and like a box of stuff. And I was like, okay, I live in Austin now. I don't, I've been to Austin many times, but never like on my own as an adult, right? Well, yeah, for the most part. Like I never lived in Austin. So I was like, if I'm going to be living here, I need to know the city. So I went across the street on Riverside, the HEB's right there at like Riverside and Pleasant Valley. And it's been rebuilt. It's not the same HEB.
The old one, not the one that was built behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went there, and in the parking lot of that old HEB, I don't know if you remember this, there used to be an Exxon gas station. Mm-hmm. And I went to that Exxon gas station, and I bought a city map of the city of Austin. And I took it back to the apartment, and I remember like I was sleeping on the floor. I like unfurled the city map on the floor, and I like put like with a pen, I like circled where I lived, and I circled that HEB. And I was like, all right, I need to learn this city. Like, I'm going to, like, circle places I've been to so I remember where everything is and I learn the layout of the city. And, like, that was day one. Like, step one was, like, buy a map, learn my way around this town.
That is awesome.
Wow.
And I think day two, if I remember right, January 7th, maybe January 8th, I went to that old movie theater that was right there. It's not a movie theater anymore. It's like now it's a Chinese buffet, Joy East. Mm-hmm. I think it was the Presidio, I want to say is what that movie theater was called.
Yeah.
I went over there because Jackie Brown was playing.
Hell yeah.
And it was like one of the first things I did in Austin, like day two or day three. I went and I watched Jackie Brown in the theater, at that theater. And it's funny now because we work with another guy named Brian Garr, who at that time worked at that theater, and he always talks about specifically, like showings of Jackie Brown. It's like, man, you might have been the projectionist when I was there, like watching at my screening of Jackie Brown.
Is that the movie theater where the guy ordered the pizza to the movie?
Yes, we were watching Stigmata.
Oh, that's a scary movie.
It was you, me, I think Jason might have been there, in April, and maybe Abby or Margaret was there too. Anyway, we all went down together to watch Stigmata. And like halfway through the movie, you know how movie theaters, you normally enter from the back, right? The doors are at the back that lead out to the lobby and everything. But there's also exits at the front under the screen. Like normally you go out to the parking lot. We were watching Stigmata, and one of those doors under the screen at the front of the theater opened up.
Oh my God!
What?
Nothing. I'm just thinking about that happening during Stigmata.
You hit the Zoom recorder and said, "Oh my God!"
Sorry. I'm thinking.
Oh my God!
Thinking about the doors opening while Stigmata's going.
And it was in stepped a Domino's delivery driver with a pizza, and he looks around this dark theater and he's like, Mike, and when some dude stands like, yo, over here. The Domino's guy walks in, hands him his pizza, takes his money, and then walks right back out that door.
And this is not the kind of movie theater in the part of town where you raise a stink or complain.
Right.
Oh man, I'll never forget that. The guy ordering a Domino's pizza.
What was the first? Do you remember going back to those early days? Do you remember the first place in Austin that either you fell in love with or that you felt like, oh, this is my spot. Like I'm a local now, or like this is my I identify with this place. I'm gonna come here all the time. It's like an anchor point for me.
It was definitely Casino.
Casino,
absolutely Casino El Camino.
Okay. And that would have been before you met me.
Yeah. I didn't go there frequently because, like, again, we keep talking about I was poor. I didn't have a lot of money to go out drinking. But if I was going to go out drinking, it was definitely going to be Casino.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was definitely like home base for anything. I don't know if it's nostalgia or just being old now, but it felt like back then it was definitely easier to park. You could park like right in front of Casino and walk right in. But it felt like it wasn't as rowdy or crazy in the downtown area. It might have just been there weren't as many people in general, so it wasn't like this overwhelming crush constantly on the weekend.
I mean, we were not a destination city back then, right? Like, you go to 6th Street now, and it's bachelorette party after bachelorette party after bachelor party after, like, and in addition to the 10 billion people that go for other reasons, but, like, Austin has become, like, this vacation destination spot that I don't think... I get it because I love Austin, but it's not like we have a lot to do here other than eat and drink.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
But that's what you do on those
so.
trips, right?
Sense,
like
right?
it's like you're not. It's I don't know. You can go like museum trips, but this is an eat and drinking city,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's all people want to do for that stuff.
Do we? I don't know how long we've been recording for, but do we have time to talk about Rainy Street?
How long have we been recording for?
About 45.
Let's talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
So Rainy Street, speaking of like destination, like Rainy Street, as people know it today, is like a bunch of bars and like a couple hotels down there at the end.
Tons of high-rise condos.
Yeah, condos. It's like
Trailer park eateries.
It's a very like hip part of town, very much a destination. Like if you're visiting from out of town, it's like, oh, go to Rainy Street and whatever.
And what it is, if you've not been, it's like amongst these condos and high-rise developments on this one street are also these old craftsman-style 120-year-old homes that have been converted into bars and restaurants.
Yeah.
That are just gorgeous now.
It didn't used to always be that way. Side note: the main characters of King of the Hill lived on Rainy Street.
Yep.
Yeah.
But back before all of this was built, it used to just be those same craftsman homes, but before they were fixed up, run down with 100 years of wear and tear on them, just like falling apart, like holes in the roof, a plywood plugging up a hole in the wall, like really dilapidated, falling apart.
And it felt like nature was taking that street back.
Absolutely.
Like it was so overgrown and like swampy and like not foresty, but like, you know what I mean? It was just like dense.
And it's not to say like it was a scary part of town or anything. It's just like there was no reason to go there. If you lived there, sure, but I guess it's really close to downtown. But why would you go there?
Yeah, it was a street with 25 houses maybe that were all dilapidated, but all lived in, and it was far enough away from everything that you wouldn't go there to park, right?
Yeah.
Like there'd be really no reason to go there unless you lived there or knew somebody there.
And we had a friend who lived there.
Yeah.
In one of those streets. He didn't own the house. He rented that house with some other friends, like mutual friends, and they all lived in this house. It was at the northwest corner of Rainy Street.
Yeah, it was across the street from, God, even this is a dated reference, but it was across the street from Luster Pearl.
Yeah, that's how I think of it.
And it became the sports bar that was, I guess, owned by Bridget Dunlap as well. But it was like 918. I don't remember the name of it, but it was the sports bar directly across from the original Luster Pearl, which was picked up and physically moved.
So we spent time down there quite a bit, hanging out with this friend of ours at his house, and every now and then, he'd have like a house party, invite a bunch of people over. And I remember one time we were down there, Geoff and I. We both were at this party of his.
This guy was Still is awesome dude.
Awesome.
Really great guy. One of the best people I've known. Really interesting, fun dude. Really great DM for D&D.
Yes. One of the best DMs I've ever had.
But an anarcho punk. Like really, really politically minded. Really big into the anarcho scene back then. Like just kind of frame that scene and what those parties looked like, and had this huge overgrown backyard with like a chain link fence and with like a fire pit in the middle of it.
Yeah. We show up to this party and there's a keg of beer, which is shocking because kegs are expensive. And, none of us really has any money.
We were flabbergasted, like literally flabbergasted to see a keg of beer.
Yeah, we're like, wow, okay, let's go get a beer. We just arrived there.
In.
Yeah. So Geoff and I, have a beer. We're sitting there like, this beer, I don't know what this beer is.
It's a little skunky, but it's good.
Like I would have expected like Lone Star maybe, but like I don't know, what is this? Like, we're like talking about it, trying to figure it out. So then we go ask our friend, like, hey, what kind of beer is that? What is that keg? He's like, oh, I don't know. Those two people over there, I don't remember their names anymore. These people I'd never met before.
Yeah.
Those two people over there brought the keg. I was like, oh, weird. I've never seen those people before, but okay, we'll go ask them what the keg is. We walk up to these people like, hey.
You're going to love this.
Good to meet you. I'm Gus, Geoff, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we were drinking some of this beer. It's like, what is this? We
don't recognize it.
We can't place it. We can't recognize it. They're like, oh, we don't know. We found it in the empty lot down the street and just brought it up to the party.
What?
He goes, can you believe it? It was just sitting in the woods. A full keg of beer.
What?
Yeah. We were like, oh, okay.
And we left.
We didn't drink any more of that beer. That was
We
it.
left. We were like, what poison did we just drink? We were convinced for an evening we were going to die, and we went home. But that was that scene. Like, you couldn't be mad at those guys because that was the life they were living. It's like, oh, you found beer in the woods and you're drinking without a second thought drinking it? Yeah, absolutely. Who abandons a keg of beer in the woods?
To this day, I don't know. What the hell was that keg doing there?
It must have been 6 months old.
Who knows? It's just absolutely wild. So I have drank beer that's been found in the woods before in my life.
It was like, was it tapped? And he's like, yeah, it was already tapped. We didn't have to do any work.
This is insane.
Yeah, absolutely bonkers.
I like old Rainy Street. New Rainy Street sucks.
Yeah, so it's funny. It's such a juxtaposition because what it is now is nothing like what it was before.
And I'm not like, a lot of Austinites hate Rainy Street for what it is now, and I get that. I'm ambivalent towards it. I just don't have a reason to go over there. Although I will say Bangers used to be a pretty good restaurant.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, when it first started to change, it was a pretty interesting place. Like, there was an Indian restaurant, I guess it's still there, called Garage Mahal, which was called Garage Mahal because it was in somebody's garage in their backyard. And the people were still living in the front yard. Awesome. You could just go into their backyard, and there was seating set up, and you would eat out of this trailer, and it was really lovely. And there was about 2 years there where it was pretty much just Garage Mahal, and then eventually I think Luster Pearl opened up, and then it was off to the races.
Yeah. I remember back in 2001 when I was working at that other job downtown. For the first time in my life, I started making good money. Like, I was hired doing IT work for this company. I was 23 years old, and they were paying me $62,000 a year in the year 2001. I was like, I'm loaded. I'm fucking set.
Borrow some money from you.
And I was like, I'm going to buy a house. Right? It was like, Geoff bought a house. He was working at the call center. Like, I'm making really good money. I'm going to buy a house.
Twice what I was making when I bought the house.
So I started looking at houses, and I always really, at the time, I was like, I'm going to buy a house in Terrytown. I remember I contacted a realtor, and there's a house. It was a corner lot. I want to say it was a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. Not a very big house. I want to say it was like 900, 1,000 square feet, something like that. And we're looking through it. Realtor's showing me the house, and it's $300,000. And I remember laughing and being like, no one's ever going to pay $300,000 for this house. That is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not buying this house. That house is probably worth like $2 million today.
Dude, I remember there was this guy we used to work with at the tech support company who was older than us, really sweet guy, and he worked at UT. And he worked the call center at night because he had a bunch of kids he was trying to put through college. And he was just like this really sweet older dad. I ran into him a few years ago and had about a 5-minute conversation with him. It was really great to see him.
Yeah, nice guy.
Lovely guy.
Yeah.
Lovely guy. But I would give him a ride home sometimes because he was like a one-car family. And he lived in Travis Heights. And I would talk to him about it all the time because I always felt like I just missed the boat on Travis Heights.
Yeah.
Like, if I'd have been 2 years older, I would have been able to buy a house for $92,000 in Travis Heights instead of on East Riverside.
Yeah.
He bought his house, I want to say in like 93, in Travis Heights for 72 grand.
Wow.
And that house has got to be worth $3 million.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Just like a little 1,200 square foot Craftsman home. If it's even there anymore, it might have been bulldozed
Probably
by now.
bulldozed,
but,
yeah.
But I just remember thinking like $72,000 to live in Travis Heights in my lifetime.
Of course, like we talked about before, interest rates were totally different. You'd be paying
Yeah.
out the butt.